Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. This time we're tackling something that I think we all struggle with from time to time.
Oh, yeah.
Expanding our vocabularies.
It can be tough.
Yeah. So today we're going to be working with this lesson plan I found.
Okay.
It's got 50 advanced English words that it wants to teach us.
All right.
And it's all broken down into these like themed sections,
Okay.
which is kind of nice for keeping it all organized.
I like that.
Yeah. So hopefully by the end of this deep dive, we'll not only have like a whole stack of new words,
Yeah.
but also some ideas about how to use them effectively.
That's the important part.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So our first section is called Words for Expressing Emotions.
Interesting.
And, you know, I'm all for a good, like, happy or a sad.
Sure.
But looking through this list, I feel like there are some really evocative words in here that can help us take our communication to a whole new level.
I think that's right.
Like, okay, so one of the words is euphoric.
Ooh, I like that word.
Yeah. And it's just so much more intense than just saying, like,
Just happy.
happy.
Right.
It's like that feeling of, like, pure joy and excitement.
Absolutely.
Like you're on top of the world.
Yeah, it's not just like you had a good day. It's like you won the lottery or something.
Okay, yeah, that's a way better example.
It's a feeling of like pure bliss.
Exactly.
Like you're floating on air.
Okay, so I'm sold on euphoric.
Uh-huh.
What about melancholy?
Oh, melancholy. That's a good one. It's
It's so much more layered than just sad.
way more. Yeah, it's not just like you're bummed out about something.
Right.
It's more of a deep, thoughtful kind of sadness, often tinged with a bit of like nostalgia or longing for something.
Okay, so how does mastering all these subtle shades of emotion actually help us? You know,
Oh, that's a great question.
like in real life.
I think the more precisely we can name our emotions, the better we can understand and process them.
Okay.
And also the better we can communicate them to other people.
Oh, that's a good point.
So like if a friend says they're feeling melancholy,
Yeah.
you get a much deeper understanding of what they're going through than if they just said sad.
Right.
And you can respond to them with more empathy and understanding.
Okay, I'm already feeling like I can express myself better.
I love it.
Let's move on to the next section, which is words for intellectual conversations.
Ooh, getting brainy.
I know, right?
Okay.
So these words are less about like showing off how smart you are and more about adding weight and clarity to your ideas when you're having those, you know.
Those deep discussions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like one of the words that jumps out at me is conundrum,
Conundrum. Oh, that's a good one.
which is way more interesting than just saying problem, right?
For sure.
It implies this kind of complex issue with maybe no easy answers.
Yeah, it's like a puzzle that you're trying to figure out.
Okay, so what's like the advantage of using a word like that in, say, like a work meeting or something?
I think it shows that you're not oversimplifying things. You know, you're acknowledging that the situation is complicated.
Yeah.
And that it requires like careful consideration and discussion.
So it can help elevate the conversation.
Exactly.
Okay, one of my favorites in here is ephemeral.
Ephemeral.
Oh, yeah.
It's so cool sounding.
It is. It's almost like,
Like you're 1 minute, gone the next.
yeah, it's fleeting.
Yeah.
It's like a beautiful sunset
Oh, yeah.
or a shooting star, you know, something that's special because it doesn't last forever.
I love that. Okay, this next one, ubiquitous. I feel like I hear this one a lot,
Yeah, me too.
but I'm not always sure if I'm using it right.
Well, it means that something is like everywhere.
Okay.
You can't escape it.
Like smartphones are ubiquitous.
Exactly. They're everywhere.
Okay, but isn't just saying like common good enough?
I mean, I guess you could say common, but ubiquitous just has a little more oomph to it.
Okay.
It suggests that something is not only common, but it's also having a significant impact on our lives.
I see. Like smartphones aren't just common. They've changed the way we communicate,
Right.
the way we work, the way we do everything.
Okay. Ubiquitous it is. Last one from this section before we move on.
Yeah.
Ambiguous. I always kind of fumble over that one.
Ambiguous basically just means that something is open to interpretation.
Okay.
It could have multiple meanings or be unclear.
Like a piece of abstract art.
Exactly.
Okay. But how does that word actually work in like a real conversation?
Well, let's say you're talking about a movie with a friend.
Okay.
And you say the ending was really ambiguous.
Yeah.
You're not just stating a fact, you're inviting a discussion about what the ending could mean.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a way to like spark a deeper analysis of something.
Okay, I'm starting to get it.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to words for describing people now.
Oh, I like this section.
Me too.
We're going to have fun with this one.
Yeah.
Okay, so describing people accurately, it's a real art form,
Oh.
And these words in this section will give you the tools to create these like really vivid portraits with your language.
Okay, well, let's start with charismatic. I always think of someone who
Oh, yeah.
just owns a room. They have this magnetic energy.
It's like they just draw you in.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's more than just being charming.
Okay.
It's about inspiring others through your words and your actions.
Like Martin Luther King Jr.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's about impact as much as personality.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay, so what would be like the opposite of charismatic?
Well, maybe like reclusive.
Okay.
Someone who prefers to be alone.
Like a hermit.
Yeah, or like a brilliant artist who creates their masterpieces in solitude,
Right.
away from all the distractions of the world.
Okay, I can think of a few authors who fit that description perfectly.
I bet you can.
All right, cynical. I always struggle with this one
Yeah, it can be a tricky word.
because it just seems so negative.
It does have a negative connotation. But it's basically about having a distrustful view of human nature.
Okay.
Always expecting the worst from people.
Like they think everyone has an ulterior motive.
Exactly.
So they see the world through this lens of like,
Skepticism.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But why use cynical? Wouldn't negative or pessimistic be the same thing?
I mean, they're similar, but cynical suggests something a bit deeper.
Okay.
It suggests that the person's negativity is rooted in like a disillusionment with the world.
Oh, I see.
Like they've been let down so many times that they just don't believe in goodness anymore.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's not just a temporary bad mood, it's like a fundamental outlook on life.
Wow. There's so much to unpack with these words.
Oh no, all right.
Okay. Let's move on to section 4 now.
All right.
This one's called Words for Everyday Contexts.
Everyday context.
Yeah, so are we talking about like spicing up our grocery lists now?
Haha, maybe.
Uh-huh.
But actually, these words might seem less flashy than the ones we've talked about so far. But they're super important because they're the words we use most often in our daily lives.
So like mandatory.
Mandatory, yes.
That one we hear all the time.
Oh, yeah. It's everywhere.
It just means like something is required, no two ways about it.
Right.
Like paying taxes.
Unfortunately,
Unfortunately.
yes, very mandatory.
Exactly. But is there like...
But think about how that word is used in different situations.
Okay.
Like a sign that says fasten seatbelt. It uses mandatory not to be bossy, but because clarity is crucial.
It's important information.
Yes, and the word mandatory conveys that sense of importance.
Right. Oh, right.
So it's not just about the meaning of the word, but also the tone it sets.
Okay, I see what you mean. What about imminent?
Imminent means that something is about to happen very soon.
Okay.
Like if you see storm clouds gathering,
Yeah.
a downpour is imminent.
Or like when you can feel that fall is in the air.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, how about procrastinate?
Ooh, procrastinate. One of my favorites.
I feel like I'm a pro at that one.
Ha! We all procrastinate sometimes.
Right. It's just so tempting to put things off.
It is, even when we know we shouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's move on to the last section for this part.
Sounds good.
It's called Words for Expressing Ideas.
Ooh, this is where it gets really interesting.
I know, right?
These words are your tools for shaping thoughts and presenting your ideas in a compelling way.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right.
So first up, we have innovative,
Oh, innovative. That's a great word.
which just means like fresh ideas and new approaches.
Right, but it's more than just being new.
Okay.
It's about coming up with solutions that are original and effective.
So like if someone invented a self-folding laundry basket,
Yes, that would be innovative.
that would change my life.
Right.
Okay, what about viable?
Viable means that something is practical and likely to succeed.
Okay.
So it's not just about having a good idea.
Right.
It's about whether that idea can actually be put into action.
Okay, so it's a really important word for like...
Decision making.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, last one for this part. Tangible.
Tangible.
I actually use this word a lot,
Oh, yeah, me too.
but I'm curious to hear your take on it.
Well, it means that something is real and concrete.
Okay,
You can touch it, you can see it, you can measure it.
so it's the opposite of like abstract.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground already, but we've still got 10 powerful words waiting for us in part 2.
I'm excited to keep going.
Me too. We'll be right back after a short break.
Let's do.
Welcome back, everyone. All right, so we are back, ready to tackle the rest of these words for expressing ideas.
I'm ready when you are.
Okay, let's do it. What's up first?
How about Ambivalent. That's a good one.
Ambivalent, okay.
It describes that feeling of being kind of torn between different options.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're not sure how you feel about something.
Like when you get a job offer, that sounds amazing, but it also means you'd have to move away from all your friends and family.
Yeah.
That's total ambivalence right there.
You've got the excitement of a new opportunity,
Yeah.
but also the sadness of leaving everything you know behind.
And you can't really decide which feeling is stronger.
Right. It's
Yeah.
like a tug of war in your mind.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I'm realizing that these words aren't just about sounding smart. It's more about understanding all those little nuances of life.
Absolutely.
Okay, what's next?
Let's go with cohesive. This word is all about how things fit together
Okay,
to create a unified whole.
like a well-coordinated team
Exactly.
where everyone's working together seamlessly.
Yeah, everyone knows their role and they're all contributing to the same goal.
I like it. Give me a word that's kind of the opposite of that.
How about arduous?
Arduous, okay?
This one's for those tasks that require a lot of effort and perseverance.
Like training for a marathon,
Exactly.
writing a novel.
Yeah, or even just cleaning out your closet.
Oh man, tell me about it.
Uh-huh. But seriously, arduous implies that something is not just difficult, it's also demanding and time-consuming.
So it's not just a quick chore you can knock out in an afternoon.
No, it's something that you really have to commit to.
Okay, arduous it is. What's next on the list?
Feasible. This one's all about practicality.
Usable.
Is something realistically achievable, given the resources and constraints you have?
Like if you're planning a trip with friends
Yeah.
and someone suggests a cross-country road trip, but you only have a week's vacation and a limited budget.
Right. Then the road trip might not be feasible.
Exactly. Okay, give me another one.
How about proficient?
Proficient.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
It means you're skilled or competent in a certain area.
Like, I'm pretty proficient at baking chocolate chip cookies,
Nice.
but I'm definitely not proficient at playing the guitar.
Well, there's always time to learn.
True. Okay, what's next?
How about profound? This one's a big one.
Profound. Okay.
It's about experiences or ideas that have a deep and lasting impact on us.
Like a life-changing event. Yes. Or a book that completely alters your perspective.
Or even just a conversation that really makes you think.
Exactly.
Profound experiences can really shape who we are.
I think so too.
Okay, last one for this section.
All right, let's wrap up with plausible.
Plunkable.
Okay. It basically means that something is believable or reasonable,
Okay.
given the evidence or context.
So if someone tells you a story that sounds a little too good to be true,
Yeah.
you might question whether it's actually plausible.
Exactly. It's a good reminder to be critical thinkers.
I like it. Okay, so we've officially conquered all 20 words in the Words for Expressing Ideas section.
We did it.
I feel like my brain is about to explode with all this new knowledge.
It's a good feeling, right?
It is. But you know what?
What's that?
I think we have one more section to go.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, let's take a quick break and then come back to tackle those final 10 words.
Sounds good to me. See you in a few.
All right, we're back for the final stretch of our vocabulary odyssey.
I'm ready to wrap up this deep dive with those last 10 words.
Me too. Let's dive in. What's the first word we're tackling?
Okay, so let's start with articulate.
Oh, articulate.
It's a great word to describe someone who can express themselves clearly and effectively.
So like someone who's a really good public speaker
Exactly.
or someone who can write really well.
Yeah, they can put their thoughts into words in a way that's easy to understand and follow.
So it's not just about using big words.
No, it's more about using the right words.
Right, and arranging them in a way that makes sense.
Exactly. It's about clarity and precision.
I like it. Okay, what's next?
How about concise?
Concise, okay.
It means expressing something in a brief and to the point way.
So it's like the opposite of rambling.
Very much.
So like instead of saying due to the fact that, you could just say because.
Exactly.
It gets the point across without any unnecessary fluff.
I think that's important in any kind of communication.
Yeah, being concise can really help keep people engaged.
Especially in today's world where everyone's attention span is so short.
So true. Okay, what's next on our list?
Eloquent.
Eloquent. Ooh, I like that one.
It's similar to articulate, but it takes it a step further.
Okay, how so?
It suggests that someone is not only clear and effective in their communication, but they're also graceful and persuasive.
So they have a way with words. It's almost like poetry?
Yeah, think of someone like Barack Obama.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely eloquent.
His speeches are always so moving and inspiring.
Okay, eloquent is definitely going on my list of words to use more often.
Haha, me too. Okay, what about fluid?
Fluid. Okay.
It describes something that flows smoothly and effortlessly.
Like a dancer's movements?
Yeah, or a writer's prose.
Or even just a really good conversation.
Exactly. When something is fluid, it just feels natural and easy.
I love that.
Okay.
What's next?
Let's talk about persuasive.
Persuasive.
It's all about convincing someone to see things your way.
Okay, so it's like being able to make a really strong argument.
Yeah, and using logic and evidence to support your points.
And maybe appealing to their emotions a little bit too.
Maybe a little.
So it's a really important skill to have in any area of life.
Absolutely. Whether you're trying to get a promotion at work or convince your friends to try a new restaurant.
Persuasion is key. Okay, give me another one.
How about succinct?
Succinct.
It's similar to concise, but it emphasizes being even more brief.
So it's like getting straight to the point without any extra words.
Exactly. Think of it as like a Twitter post.
Where you only have 280 characters to get your message across.
Perfect example.
Okay, I can definitely see how being succinct can be a valuable skill.
Especially in written communication.
All right, what are we down to?
We have 3 left. How about coherent?
Coherent. Okay.
It means that something is logical and easy to understand.
So all the ideas are connected in a way that makes sense.
Yeah, there's a clear flow from one point to the next.
Okay, so it's like the opposite of being all over the place.
Exactly.
Okay, what's next?
Compelling.
Compelling.
This one's about capturing someone's attention and making them want to learn more.
So it's like being able to tell a really good story.
Yeah, or giving a presentation that really draws people in.
So it's about being engaging and interesting.
Exactly. A compelling argument or story is one that you can't help but listen to.
Okay, last one. What is it?
Insightful.
Ooh, insightful. I like that one.
It describes someone or something that offers a deep understanding of a topic.
So like a really thought-provoking book?
Yeah, or a conversation with someone who really knows their stuff.
It's about getting beyond the surface level and really exploring the nuances of an issue.
Exactly. Insightful observations can really change the way we see the world.
Wow. I feel like we've covered so much ground in this deep dive.
I know, right? It's been quite a journey.
We started with just a list of 50 words, and now I feel like we have a whole new understanding of how to use language effectively.
It's amazing how much power there is in words.
I know. And it's not just about sounding smart. It's about connecting with others
Absolutely.
and expressing ourselves in a way that's authentic and meaningful.
Well said.
Thanks. So to all our listeners out there,
Yeah.
we hope you've enjoyed this vocabulary adventure as much as we have.
We encourage you to keep exploring new words.
And keep pushing yourselves to communicate more effectively.
And never underestimate the power of language.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive.
Bye, everyone. All right, word nerds, you ready to geek out a little?
Always.
Today, we're going deep into the wild world of commonly misused words.
Yeah, these are fun.
It's like, we all use these words every day, right?
Right.
But sometimes even the most experienced writers and speakers can trip over them.
It happens to the best of us.
So today, we're going to unpack the nuances, the little tricks, the things that make these words so darn slippery.
And hopefully save you some embarrassment along the way.
Exactly. You know, like using the wrong word in a big presentation, that's a no-go.
Oh, absolutely.
So think of this deep dive as like a linguistic boot camp for your brain.
Love it.
We're going to make sure you're using these words correctly, confidently, and with style.
Yeah, no more grammar faux pas.
Okay, let's kick things off with a pair that always seems to cause confusion. Affect versus effect.
Ah, yes, the classic duo.
I feel like these two are like the ultimate word pair pranksters.
They really are. They sound so similar, but their meanings, they're totally different.
All right, break it down for us. What's the deal with affect?
So affect, most commonly, is a verb. It's an action word. And it means to influence or to make a change in something.
Okay, so like the weather can affect your mood.
Perfect example. Gloomy day, you feel a bit down. The weather has affected your mood.
Right. Makes sense. So then effect is the outcome, the result.
Exactly. Effect is usually a noun. Think of it as the consequence of something.
Okay, so like the effect of the rain was a flooded garden.
Precisely. The rain caused the flooding. The flooding is the effect.
Got it. But wait, I think I read somewhere that affect can sometimes be a verb too, right?
You're absolutely right. Sharp memory. Affect can be a verb, but it's way less common and much more formal.
Ooh, fancy. So when would you use affect as a verb?
It means like to bring about or to make happen. Like if you're talking about affecting change or affecting a solution.
Ah, I see. It's all about context.
Exactly. And that's what makes these words so tricky, isn't it?
Yeah, the subtle differences. But you know what? I'm kind of starting to enjoy these little word puzzles.
Me too. It's like a brain workout.
Okay, so we've tackled affect versus affect. What's next on our list of linguistic landmines?
How about then and then?
Ah, yes. These two always seem to trip people up, even though the difference seems pretty simple.
You'd think so, right? But you'd be surprised how often they get mixed up.
Okay, so remind us. What's the deal with then?
Then is all about time and sequence. It tells us what happens next in a series of events.
Okay, so like I woke up, then I had breakfast. Right.
Perfect. Then is our time traveler. It guides us through the order of things.
Okay, then for time. So then is for comparison.
You got it. Then helps us weigh things against each other, make choices, express preferences.
So this coffee is stronger than the tea.
Yes. Then is our comparison champion.
I'm starting to feel more confident already. What other word pairs are lurking out there waiting to trip us up?
Well, how about its versus its?
Ooh, the apostrophe attack.
I know, right? This one is all about understanding possessive pronouns and contractions.
Okay, so it's with no apostrophe shows possession, like his or hers.
Exactly. The cat chased its tail. No apostrophe needed there.
But it's, with the apostrophe is short for it is or it has.
You got it. It's a contraction, a shortened form. Like, it's a beautiful day. Apostrophe day.
Okay, I think I'm getting this. So it's is possessive, no apostrophe, and it's is a contraction with the apostrophe.
You got it. And here's a little trick to help you remember.
Lay it on me.
If you can replace it's in a sentence with it is or it has, and it still makes sense, then you're using it correctly.
That's helpful. So if I can say it is a beautiful day, then I know to use it's with the apostrophe.
Exactly.
Awesome. I feel like I'm leveling up my grammar skills already.
Well, you are. Keep it up.
All right, what's next on our word pair hit list?
How about a pair that's often confused, especially in written form? Lose versus loose.
Oh, yeah. These two can be sneaky. They sound almost identical.
But remember, spelling matters.
All right, help me out here. Which one is about misplacing something?
Lose is one about misplacing, not winning, or being deprived of something.
Okay, so you lose your keys or you lose a game.
Exactly.
So then loose must be the one that means not tight.
You got it.
Yeah.
Loose is an adjective. It describes something that isn't fastened or is free from restraint.
Like, my shoelaces are loose, or that dog is running loose.
Perfect examples.
Okay. Lose for losing something and loose for not tight. I think I can finally keep those straight.
I think you got it. Just remember, 1 OO means you lost something, 2 O's means something is free.
Oh, I like that. I'm going to remember that. Okay, I'm ready for the next word pair challenge.
All right, let's dive into fewer versus less.
Ooh, these two. I always get them mixed up.
It's a common mistake, but the rule is pretty simple.
All right, tell me, what's the trick to remembering which is which?
Think about whether you can count the things you're talking about. If you can count them individually, use fewer.
Okay, so like fewer apples or fewer students?
Exactly. You can count apples and students one by one.
And then less is for things you can't count individually.
Precisely. Less water, less time, less sand.
Got it. So fewer for things you can count, less for things you can't.
You're natural.
I'm starting to feel like a word wizard. What other word pairs are waiting to be demystified?
Well, get ready for this one because it's a doozy. Lie versus lay.
Oh, here we go. I know there's a difference, but I can never remember which is which.
This one has been tripping people up for centuries.
Okay, break it down for me. Which one is about resting?
Lie, with no object, is about reclining or resting. Like, I need to lie down.
Okay, and lay needs an object.
Right. Lay means to put or place something. So, lay the book on the table.
Oh, okay. So I lie down on the couch, but I lay the book down on the table.
You got it. Think of it this way. Chickens lay eggs. They're placing something down.
The classic chicken and egg example. That helps. Okay, I think I'm starting to get the hang of this. Lie for resting, lay for placing something.
You're on a roll.
All right, hit me with one more before we wrap up this part of our deep dive.
Okay, how about farther versus further?
Ooh, yeah, I've definitely used these interchangeably before. But I know there's a subtle difference, right?
There is. Think about it this way. Farther is for physical distance, something you can measure.
Okay, so like I ran farther than you, or the store is farther down the road.
Exactly. Further, on the other hand, is more about figurative distance or a greater degree or extent.
So we need to discuss this further, or I want to further my education.
Precisely.
Okay, so farther for physical distance, further for figurative distance.
You've got it. You're a word pair master.
Wow, my brain is definitely getting a workout today.
That's what we like to hear. Stay tuned because we've got a whole lot more word pair fun coming your way. All right, welcome back to our word pair extravaganza.
I'm ready for round 2. What tricky duos are we tackling today?
Well, let's start with a pair that often causes confusion, especially when you're trying to express admiration. Compliment versus compliment.
Oh, yes. These two sound so similar, but I know their meanings are totally different. I've definitely seen them misused before.
It happens. Compliment is all about praise, saying something nice.
So if I tell you I love your insights on word pairs, that's a compliment.
It certainly is, and a very kind one at that.
Thanks. Now, what about compliment? How is that different?
Compliment is more about enhancing or completing something. Think of things that go well together.
Okay, so like that scarf complements your outfit, or the wine complements the cheese.
Perfect examples. Compliment is all about creating a sense of harmony or completeness.
Got it. Compliments boost our egos, and compliments enhance our style, or our cheese boards.
Exactly. What do you say we move on to another tricky pair?
Hit me with it.
How about everyday versus everyday?
Ooh, the sneaky space.
This one's all about knowing the difference between an adjective and an adverbial phrase.
Okay, remind me. What's an adjective again?
An adjective describes something like everyday clothes, meaning ordinary or routine clothes.
Right. And an adverbial phrase tells us when or how often something happens.
Exactly. Every day means each day, without exception, like I drink coffee every day.
Okay, I think I'm starting to see the difference. So every day is an adjective describing something ordinary, and every day is an adverbial phrase meaning each day.
You've got it.
Oh.
And believe me, using the right one makes a big difference in your writing.
Noted. I'll definitely be watching out for that one from now on. What's next?
Let's tackle bring versus take.
Oh, this one always makes me think of those awkward party situations. When someone asks you to bring something and you're not sure if you should take it home with you later.
I think we've all been there. Bring is all about movement towards a specific location or towards the speaker. So if you're hosting a party, you'd ask guests to bring a dish.
Right, bring it to the party where I am.
Exactly. And take implies movement away from the speaker or location. So after the party, they would take their leftovers home.
Bring it towards you. Take it away.
Got it in one. Now, how about we test your memory on a word pair we talked about earlier? Do you remember the difference between principal and principal?
Oh, I think I do. Principal is like the head honcho of a school, right?
You got it. And principle is a fundamental truth or belief.
So a principal could have strong principles.
Nicely put. It seems like you're really mastering these word pairs. Ready for another one?
Absolutely. Bring it on.
Okay, how about stationary versus stationary?
Ooh, I always think of office supplies with this one.
Good association. Stationary is all about writing materials like paper, envelopes, pens, that kind of stuff.
So when something is stationary, it means it's not moving.
Precisely. Think stationary bike. It stays in one place.
Okay, got it. I'll remember to stock up on stationery before my next stationary bike session.
Perfect. I think you're ready for a real grammar challenge now.
Ooh, bring on the big guns.
Okay, how about who versus whom?
Uh-oh, I can already feel my brain sweating.
Don't worry, it's not as scary as it seems. Who is used when you're referring to the subject of a sentence, the person performing the action?
Okay, like who ate the last cookie? Who is the cookie monster in this case?
Exactly. Now, whom is used when referring to the object of a sentence, the person receiving the action.
So, to whom did you give the cookie?
Yes. Whom is receiving the cookie?
All right, I think I'm starting to get it. Who does the action? Whom receives the action?
You got it. And here's a helpful tip. If you can replace the word with he or she, use who. If you could replace it with him or her, use whom.
That's a great trick. I'll definitely remember that. Okay, what other word pairs are we going to conquer today?
Let's talk about emigrate versus immigrate.
Ooh, these two always sound so similar to me.
They do. Think of it this way. Emigrate is about leaving a country. E for exit.
Okay, emigrate is to exit a country.
When emigrate is to come into a country.
Ah, I see. M for into.
Exactly. So someone might emigrate from one country and immigrate to another.
Okay, I think I can remember that. Emigrate to leave. immigrate to come in.
You're getting the hang of this. Ready for another one?
Bring it on.
Okay, let's tackle a pair that sounds almost identical, but has totally different meanings. Illicit versus illicit.
Ooh, I've definitely mixed these up before.
It's a common mistake. Illicit means illegal or forbidden. Think illicit activities.
Okay, illicit is bad news.
Right. And illicit means to draw out or evoke something.
So like the comedian's jokes elicited laughter from the audience.
Exactly. Illicit brings something out, while illicit is something that's hidden or prohibited.
Okay, I'm starting to see the difference. Illicit is good, illicit is bad.
You got it. What do you say we move on to a pair that's a bit more lighthearted?
I'm all for that.
Okay, how about desert versus dessert?
Ooh, this one makes me hungry.
Me too. But first, let's clear up the confusion. Desert is that dry, barren landscape.
Right, think camels and sand dunes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And dessert is that sweet treat you enjoy after a meal.
Okay, so desert is a place, and dessert is something you eat.
Precisely. And here's a little trick to remember the difference. Dessert has 2 S's, because you always want seconds.
That's a good one. I'll definitely remember that. Okay, what's next on our word pair menu?
How about we explore the difference between imply versus infer?
Ooh, these two are tricky. I always get them mixed up.
It's common confusion. Imply is what the speaker does. They suggest something indirectly or hint at something.
Okay, so like if I say, it's getting late with a big yawn, I'm implying that it's time for you to go.
Exactly. You're not directly saying it, but you're definitely hinting at it.
Subtle communication. And to infer is what the listener does.
Precisely. So in your example, I would infer from your yawn and your comment that it's time for me to head home.
The speaker implies and the listener infers. It's like a linguistic dance.
I like that. It's all about reading between the lines and understanding the subtle cues in communication.
This is fascinating. Okay, what's next on our word pair adventure?
How about historic versus historical?
Ooh, this one makes me think of history class. But I always get these two confused.
It's a common mistake. Think of historic as referring to something important or momentous in history, something that really made a mark.
Okay, so a historic event is a big deal, like a turning point in history.
Exactly. And historical simply means related to history or the past.
So a historical document could be anything from a peace treaty to a grocery list.
Exactly. Historical is more general. It just means something that happened in the past.
Got it. Historic is significant. Historical is from the past. Okay, hit me with another word pair challenge.
All right, how about insure versus insure?
Ooh, I always think of insurance policies with these two.
That's a good connection. Insure is all about protecting against financial loss, like you insure your car or your house.
Okay, and insure means to make sure something will happen.
Precisely. You might ensure that the door is locked before you leave, or ensure that you have all the necessary documents for a meeting.
So insure is for financial protection, and insure is about guaranteeing something will happen.
You got it. What do you say we wrap up this part of our word pair exploration with one last challenge?
I'm game. Let's do it.
Okay, how about disinterested versus uninterested?
Ooh, I have a feeling I've been using these incorrectly.
A lot of people do. Disinterested means impartial or unbiased.
Okay, so a judge should be disinterested in a case, meaning they have no personal stake in the outcome.
Exactly. Now, uninterested simply means not interested or bored.
Ah, so I might be uninterested in watching a boring documentary.
Precisely. So disinterested is about neutrality, while uninterested is about lack of interest.
Got it. I'll definitely be more careful with those two from now on.
I'm impressed with your progress. You've really mastered a lot of these tricky word pairs.
Thanks. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm definitely feeling more confident about my language skills. All right, One Warriors, we're back for the final round of our deep dive into commonly misused words.
Are you ready to conquer some more tricky pairs?
Bring it on! My brain is warmed up and ready for the challenge.
Excellent. Let's jump right in with a pair that often causes confusion when it comes to giving and receiving guidance. Advice versus advice.
Ah, yes, the age-old dilemma of seeking wisdom versus offering it.
Precisely. Advice, with a C, is a noun. It's the guidance or recommendation offered to someone.
So, like, I need some advice on how to handle this tricky situation at work.
Perfect example. You're seeking guidance, so you need advice.
And advise, with an S, is the verb, the act of giving that guidance.
Exactly. You might say, my mentor advised me to take a deep breath and approach the problem calmly.
Okay, so advice is what we receive, and advise is what we give.
You've got it. Remember, advice is something you can take, while advise is something you do.
Got it. I'll try to keep those straight. What's next on our word pair battleground?
How about a pair that often causes confusion when it comes to locations of power and financial resources? Capital versus capital.
Ooh, this one makes me think of grand buildings and important decisions.
You're on the right track. Capital, with an al, has several meanings. It can refer to a city that serves as the seat of government.
Like Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States.
Exactly. Capital can also refer to wealth in the form of money or assets.
Like, I need more capital to start my own business.
Precisely. And capital can even refer to an uppercase letter.
Ah, so many meanings for one little word. Now, what about capital with an ol?
Capital with an ol refers specifically to a building where a legislature meets.
Like the United States Capitol building where Congress makes laws.
Exactly. So remember, capital is more general, while capital refers specifically to a government building.
Okay, I'll try to keep those grand buildings straight. What's next on our list of tricky duos?
How about a pair that's all about being together or being complete? All together versus all together.
Ooh, this one always makes me think of group hugs and finishing a big project.
I love those images. All together, as two words, means in a group or collectively.
So like, let's sing happy birthday all together.
Perfect. You're all singing as one group.
And all together as one word means completely or entirely.
Exactly. Like, I'm altogether exhausted after that word pair marathon.
I can relate to that. So all together means in a group, and all together means completely. Got it.
You're a word pair whiz.
Yeah.
What do you say we tackle one more tricky pair before we wrap up our deep dive?
Absolutely. I'm feeling unstoppable.
Okay, how about a pair that's all about giving reassurance and making things certain? Ashore versus inshore.
Ooh, these two sound very similar, but I know they have distinct meanings.
They do. Ashore, with an S, means to make someone feel confident or certain about something.
So like, I assure you that everything will be fine.
Exactly. You're easing their worries and giving them confidence.
And ensure with an N means to make certain that something will happen.
Precisely. You might say, please ensure that you lock the door before you leave.
Ah, so assure is about giving someone confidence, and ensure is about making something certain to happen.
You've got it. Assure calms the mind, while ensure guarantees an outcome.
I love how these subtle distinctions can make such a big difference in our communication.
It's amazing, isn't it, the power of words?
This deep dive has been an incredible journey. We've explored so many tricky word pairs, uncovered hidden meanings, and sharpened our language skills along the way.
It's been a pleasure sharing these linguistic adventures with you.
I'm feeling so much more confident about my word choices now.
That's what we love to hear. And remember, language is constantly evolving, so the journey of learning never really ends.
Absolutely. So to all you fellow word nerds out there, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep playing with the amazing power of words. Until next time, happy wordsmithing.
All right, so we're diving deep today, folks, into this, well, it's like a slang dictionary.
Ah, yes. A whole guide to the secret language of, well, modern English.
Which can get pretty wild, right?
Like there.
Trying to keep up with all the new words and phrases.
Exactly. And it changes so fast. Like one day you're in the loop and the next you're totally lost.
Right. So that's why you're here to help us decode it all.
Well, I'll do my best, not just the words themselves, but like what they tell us about, how people communicate these days.
Okay, so our slang dictionary, it's broken down to these different categories, like general slang, internet slang, relationships, even work slang.
Seems pretty thorough. And it looks like in this general section, there are words like lit, chill, vibe, and goat.
Yeah, I feel like those are pretty common, right? Like I hear those words all the time.
Definitely. But I think there's more to them than just being, trendy.
Yeah, for sure. So like what makes those words so popular?
Well, think about it. Lit and chill are short, right? Impactful. They get the feeling across really quickly.
Yeah, that's true. It's like instead of saying that party was incredibly exciting and energetic,
Yeah.
you can just say that party was lit.
Exactly. And chill, it suggests like a relaxed, easygoing vibe.
Which I guess a lot of people are looking for these days.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in a world that feels, kind of hectic and stressful.
And then vibe, it's like everything has a vibe now. A place, a song, a person.
Right. And it's funny because it's almost like we've outsourced our descriptive vocabulary to just this one word,
Yeah, totally. It's like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's got a good vibe.
Yeah, it's like a shortcut to expressing a complex feeling without having to actually articulate it.
Interesting. And then GOAT, greatest of all time.
Yeah. I feel like that one really shows how, like, internet culture has infiltrated our everyday language.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, it's not just about sports anymore.
Right. It's become a way to celebrate things, to declare them exceptional, put them on a pedestal.
Yeah, like your favorite pizza place could be the jote.
Exactly. And I think there's something very, very human about that, about wanting to elevate the things we love,
For sure. So I guess the question for our listeners is, like, which of these general slang terms resonate with you?
And which ones make you cringe? Because, that tells you something too. It shows how slang is subjective and constantly changing.
Okay, so speaking of change, I think it's time to move on to a realm where slang evolves at like warp speed, the internet.
Oh, yeah, buckle up. That's a whole other level of linguistic creativity.
Right. It's like the internet has its own secret language, and if you don't know the code...
Well, you're going to be left wondering, what are they even talking about?
Exactly. And I feel like the need to be brief,
Yeah.
Quick, definitely plays a role in how fast internet slang changes.
Oh, absolutely. But let's dive into some examples from your slang dictionary. It mentions LOL, FOMO, slay, throw shade, and AF. Lot to unpack there.
Yeah, just reading those words, I can practically hear like the keyboard clicks and see the memes flying by.
Right. It's a whole world. But let's start with LOL, laughing out loud.
Oh, LOL. Yeah. I feel like that one has taken on a life of its own online.
For sure. It might have started as, literally laughing out loud, but it's definitely become more nuanced.
Oh, yeah. Like now it can mean like amusement, agreement, even just like acknowledging something.
Right. Sometimes it's less about actual laughter and more about just navigating social interactions online.
Like it's almost become its own form of punctuation.
Exactly. It's like a way of saying, I get it. I'm with you, even if you're not actually cracking up.
Okay. And then there's FOMO, fear of missing out.
Ah, yes. That quintessential anxiety of the digital age.
Right. That feeling of everyone else is having more fun than me.
Which, let's be honest, is often fueled by, perfectly curated social media feeds.
So true. And I think FOMO perfectly captures that feeling of like inadequacy or being left out.
Totally. And it highlights something interesting, right? Slang often reflects not just our experiences, but also our anxieties.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like language mirroring our inner fears and desires.
Right. And speaking of desires, what about slay?
Oh, yeah, slay. That one's all about like confidence and achievement,
And
right?
it's like, you've totally nailed it or you killed it, but like with more swagger.
It's aspirational, for sure.
Yeah.
Like we all want to slay.
Definitely. And in a world where we're constantly comparing ourselves to others online, that validation can feel, really powerful.
Okay, but then we go to throw shade, which it's like a whole different vibe.
A little bit darker, right. A little bit more, shady.
Because it's not just about criticizing someone, it's about doing it indirectly.
Yeah, the art of the subtle dig.
Which is so interesting because it shows how conflict plays out online.
Yeah.
Where direct confrontation is often avoided.
Right. It's all about implication and innuendo.
Okay, speaking of online miscommunication, I have a confession.
Oh, do tell.
Okay, so one time someone online said they were shook, and I thought they were talking about like cooking. It was embarrassing.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show how context matters so much with slang.
It really does. What might be clear in one online community could be totally baffling in another.
Right. So it's always good to double check if you're not sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, and last but not least, we have AF, as in,
Yeah, AF.
Yeah.
Is there even anything to analyze there? It just amplifies everything, right?
Yeah, I mean, on the surface, yes, it's all about emphasis, turning the volume up to 11.
Like the linguistic equivalent of using all caps.
Exactly. But I think it also speaks to our need to express intense emotions online, to break free from the limitations of language.
So it's like this feeling is so big, I need extra strong words.
Exactly. So we've covered some of the most common slang terms, but we've also, I think, uncovered something deeper, how these seemingly simple words actually offer these insights into who we are,
Yeah. Our values, anxieties, and even our desire to connect.
Absolutely. And it's just the beginning. From the internet, our slang journey is taking us to, another area rife with linguistic creativity, the world of relationships.
Ooh, yes. Things are about to get personal.
Buckle up, because relationship slang is a whole other roller coaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, relationships. I mean, they can be complicated enough without adding a whole new layer of slang on top of it all.
Right. And our slang dictionary really dives into all the different nuances of modern dating.
It does, and it's interesting to me how a lot of these terms they reflect the anxieties that people feel, you know?
Oh, totally. Like take ghosting, for example. It's become so common, but it's still pretty brutal.
It is, and it's kind of become this like accepted way of ending things, which is a little bit troubling.
Yeah. Like why do you think ghosting has become so prevalent?
I mean, part of it is definitely technology, right? It's so easy to just disappear when you're interacting through a screen.
Yeah, that makes sense. But do you think it's also like a sign of something deeper?
Maybe. Like a fear of confrontation or a lack of, emotional maturity.
It's tough to say. But then there's benching, which, I don't know, it almost feels worse.
Oh, benching. Yeah, that one's rough.
It's like being stuck in this weird limbo, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You're not quite in the relationship, but you're not completely out of it either.
Right. And it's so common now with, dating apps and social media. People have so many options, so they're hesitant to fully commit.
It's like they're keeping their options open just in case something better comes along.
Exactly. Which I guess speaks to a certain fear of missing out, right?
Totally. And maybe even a fear of vulnerability.
Right. It's interesting how all these slang terms, they can reveal so much about, how people approach love and relationships.
For sure. Okay. But it's not all doom and gloom of the relationship section. There's some cuter terms in there too.
Well, yeah, like lay and ship. Those are fun.
Right. Bae is just a sweet way of referring to your significant other, but ship, that one really shows how much we get invested in other people's relationships.
Especially online. Like, we're all about shipping our favorite celebrity couples.
Like, we're rooting for them to succeed,
Yeah.
We want to see their love story play out.
And there's something kind of sweet about that, right? Like, it's this shared desire for love and happiness.
It is. Okay, but let's shift gears for a moment and talk about another area of life where slang is super prevalent. The workplace.
Oh, yeah. The workplace. That's a whole other linguistic landscape.
Right. Our slang dictionary has a whole section dedicated to the language of like hustle, ambition, and of course, the dreaded dead-end job.
And it makes sense. I mean, work is such a big part of our lives, so naturally it's going to have its own set of slang terms.
Totally. And I feel like a lot of these terms reflect the changing nature of work these days.
Yeah, absolutely. Like take hustle, for example. It's become more than just a verb. It's like a way of life.
Right. It's all about like working hard, being ambitious, creating your own opportunities.
And it can be inspiring,
Yeah.
But it also speaks to the anxieties that a lot of people feel about job security and financial stability.
Yeah, in a world where like the traditional 9-to-5 job is becoming less common, people feel like they have to hustle to get ahead.
For sure. And the rise of the side hustle is a perfect example of that.
Oh, yeah. It's like everyone has a side hustle these days.
It's true. And it makes sense, right? People are looking for ways to supplement their income, to be more independent, to have more flexibility.
And then on the flip side, you have the dead-end job.
Ugh. Yeah, those are the worst.
It's like that feeling of being stuck, of not having any opportunities for growth or advancement.
Which I think speaks to a larger societal issue, right? About the lack of fulfilling and well-paying jobs for a lot of people.
So it's interesting how work slang can be both like aspirational and kind of depressing at the same time.
It's true. It reflects the complexities of the modern work experience, the hopes, the fears, the struggles.
Yeah, it's all in there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for our listeners who are navigating the world of work, what do you think they should keep in mind about slang?
Well, I think it's important to be aware of the different connotations that words can have.
Right, because what might be considered like positive in one workplace culture could be seen as negative in another.
Exactly. So it's always good to pay attention to the context and to ask questions if you're not sure.
Okay, so we've covered general slang, internet slang, and even work slang. But there's one more category in our slang dictionary that I think is particularly fun.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
It's the wild card round. It's all the terms that didn't quite fit into the other categories but are still super interesting.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What kind of words are we talking about? I'm intrigued. What kind of words are we talking about?
So we've got words like bougie, extra, mood, and glow up.
Ooh, those are good ones. They definitely capture a certain energy,
Right. They're playful, expressive, and very much of the moment.
I'm particularly interested in bougie. It's become so popular, but it's a tricky one to define.
It is, because it can be both aspirational and kind of ironic at the same time.
Exactly. Like it's acknowledging a love of luxury and maybe a little bit of showing off.
Not in a totally serious way, right? It's like, yeah, I like nice things, but I also know it's a little bit extra.
Exactly. It's that self-awareness that makes it so interesting.
Okay, and then extra. I mean, that one's pretty self-explanatory, right?
Yeah, it's all about being dramatic, over the top, you know, just extra.
And we can't forget about mood. Everything is a mood these days.
I know. It's become this like universal way of expressing how you're feeling.
Right. And it's so versatile. Like you can have a song that's a mood, a picture that's a mood, even a whole situation can be a mood.
It's true. And I think it speaks to our need for connection and relatability.
Totally. Like when you say that's such a mood, you're basically saying, I get it, I feel that too.
Exactly. Okay, and last but not least, we have glow up.
Yes. The glow up. That's all about like transformation and self-improvement.
Right. It's that amazing feeling of leveling up in life.
Like you've come a long way, baby.
Exactly. And it can be physical, mental, emotional, you know, it's all encompassing.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the wild world of slang, I have to ask, what are your overall thoughts? I mean, we've covered so much ground from everyday slang to internet slang, relationships, work, everything.
It's been quite a journey, and I think the biggest takeaway for me is just how much slang reveals about us as a society, you know, our values, our anxieties, things we care about.
Like a linguistic snapshot of a particular moment in time.
Exactly, and it's constantly changing, evolving, reflecting the world around us.
So for our listeners, I guess the final thought I would leave you with is this. What does your use of slang say about you?
Yeah, pay attention to the words you choose, the way you use them, the way they make you feel. Because slang is ultimately a form of self-expression.
It's a way of connecting with others, of signaling who you are, and of navigating this ever-changing world.
And remember, language is powerful, so use it wisely, use it playfully, and never stop exploring its possibilities.
Well said. And on that note, we'll wrap up our deep dive for today.
But the conversation doesn't have to end here. Keep listening, keep learning, and keep those slang dictionaries handy.
Because who knows what new words and phrases will pop up tomorrow. Until next time, happy slanging. Ready to unlock a world of adventures.
Fun.
Today, we're diving deep into essential travel phrases.
Yeah.
You've sent us a script for a video with 20 key phrases.
Okay.
Our mission: to figure out why they're so powerful and how you can use them to make your travels smoother and way more fun.
Awesome. What's fascinating is that language isn't just about words. It's a bridge to understanding different cultures.
Right.
Even a handful of phrases can completely change your travel experience.
Let's start with, can you help me? It seems simple, but I bet there's more to it than meets the eye.
You're absolutely right. It's more than just asking for help. It's an invitation to connect with locals and tap into their knowledge. Think of it as a secret handshake to unlock insider tips and hidden gems you wouldn't find in a guidebook.
Like that time I was in Rome and completely lost trying to find this tiny trattoria.
Oh, yeah.
I finally asked a local for help and ended up having the best meal of my entire trip.
Wow.
It wasn't even on any of the tourist maps.
Exactly. And that brings us to, where is the nearest? This phrase is your key to navigating unfamiliar surroundings.
Okay.
But it's also about going beyond the tourist tracks and discovering those authentic local experiences.
Makes sense. Now, for a phrase that's crucial for navigating the world of bartering and marketplaces, how much does this cost? It's not just about getting a fair price, is it?
Not at all. In many cultures, haggling is an art form, a way to build rapport and show respect. This phrase opens the door to that cultural dance.
So it's less about being aggressive and more about engaging in a friendly back and forth.
Precisely. It's about understanding the nuances of nonverbal communication, reading the seller's cues, and finding a price that works for both of you.
That's so interesting. It's like a whole new level of communication. What about when you're really struggling to understand, do you speak English? Seems like a good starting point.
It is, but don't underestimate the power of nonverbal communication. Even if someone doesn't speak English, a smile and a genuine attempt to connect can go a long way.
I found that even just trying to learn a few basic greetings in the local language can break the ice and show you're making an effort.
Definitely.
Speaking of effort, sometimes things get lost in translation. How important is it to say, I don't understand?
It's crucial. Faking understanding can lead to bigger misunderstandings down the road.
Right.
It's much better to politely admit you need clarification. Think of it as a safety net, ensuring you're both on the same page.
And it shows you're genuinely engaged in the conversation. Of course. Can you repeat that, please? Helps with that, too. Especially with unfamiliar accents.
Absolutely. Don't hesitate to ask for repetition,
Ah.
or even try to break down the phrase into smaller parts.
Now, switching gears a bit, what time is it? Seems pretty straightforward, but I imagine there are cultural nuances there, too.
You're right. Different cultures have different perceptions of time and punctuality. What might be considered fashionably late in one place could be a major faux pas in another.
Ah.
This phrase helps you navigate those expectations.
It's about being respectful of local customs. Speaking of customs, let's talk about food. I'd like to order is how we unlock delicious culinary adventures.
It's your passport to exploring local flavors and discovering new dishes.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask questions about the ingredients or preparation.
It's like having a culinary conversation. And since I'm not a fan of overly spicy food, is this spicy? Is a lifesaver for me. I imagine it's helpful even for people who can handle the heat.
It's a great way to gauge the intensity of flavors in any cuisine. Food is such a personal experience, and this phrase helps you tailor that experience to your liking.
So it's about respecting your own palate, as well as the culinary traditions of the place you're visiting. Once you've enjoyed your meal, it's time to wrap things up. Can I have the bill, please? Seems simple enough, but I'm guessing there are cultural variations here too.
You're catching on. The way you ask for the bill, who pays, and whether or not tipping is customary can vary significantly.
Right.
Observing how locals handle these situations is always a good idea.
All right, so we've covered some phrases for getting help, navigating basic communication, and even ordering food. Now, how about getting around? Where can I buy tickets is a good place to start.
This phrase is your gateway to transportation systems, cultural attractions, and even local events.
Cool.
It's a chance to tap into the pulse of the city and discover hidden gems.
And speaking of getting around, how do I get to, is essential for navigating unfamiliar territory. But it's more than just asking for directions, isn't it?
It's an opportunity to engage with locals, get their perspective on the best routes, and maybe even learn a bit of local history or lore along the way. Think of it as a mini adventure within your larger journey.
I love that. We've covered a lot of ground here, and I'm already feeling more confident about navigating my next trip.
Me too.
But before we dive into the remaining phrases, what are your thoughts so far? Any particular favorites or ones that spark your curiosity?
Well, it's amazing how these seemingly simple phrases can unlock so much more than just basic communication. They're tools for connection, cultural exchange, and even personal growth.
Absolutely. And speaking of connection, in today's digital age, what's the Wi-Fi password is practically essential.
Right.
But I'm curious, beyond the practicalities, what does this constant need for connectivity say about our travel experiences?
That's an interesting question. On one hand, Wi-Fi keeps us connected, provides access to information, and allows us to share our experiences instantly.
I see.
But it also raises questions about our ability to be present in the moment and truly immerse ourselves in new environments.
You've got me thinking. Maybe there's a balance to strike between staying connected and unplugging to fully absorb the experience. Okay, back to the phrases. Can I see the menu, please?
Seems straightforward enough.
It is, but think of it as more than just a list of dishes.
Yeah.
It's a window into the culinary soul of a place. The way a menu is presented, the descriptions used, the emphasis on certain ingredients, it all tells a story about the local culture and its relationship with food.
You know, you're right. I remember this amazing little cafe in Paris where the menu was handwritten on a chalkboard and changed daily based on what was fresh at the market.
Oh, wow.
It felt so personal and authentic.
Exactly. It's those details that create a richer travel experience.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to actually paying for those delicious meals, do you take credit cards? Is a key question.
Especially in a world where cash is becoming less common, but I'm guessing this varies greatly from place to place.
Absolutely. While credit cards are widely accepted in many urban areas, there are still places, especially in more rural or traditional communities, where cash is king. It's always wise to have some local currency on hand, just in case.
It's about being prepared and adaptable. Now, hopefully you won't need this next phrase, but it's good to be prepared. I need a doctor. It's pretty straightforward. But are there any nuances to keep in mind when communicating a medical need in a foreign country?
Yes, absolutely. It's helpful to have a basic understanding of the local healthcare system.
Okay.
Are there specific phrases for describing symptoms?
Right.
Are there any cultural taboos related to discussing illness? These are things you might want to research before you go.
It's all about being proactive and informed, especially when it comes to your health and safety. And speaking of safety, is it safe too, is a phrase that allows you to assess potential risks.
Right.
But how can you ask this question in a way that's culturally sensitive and respectful?
It's about phrasing the question in a way that seeks information rather than expressing judgment.
Okay.
Instead of asking, is this neighborhood safe? You might ask, what are some things I should be aware of when exploring this area?
That's a great tip. It's about showing that you're open to learning and respecting local perspectives. Okay, let's shift gears to something a bit lighter. Can you take a photo of Matthias? This seemingly simple request can actually lead to some interesting interactions, right?
It's a wonderful way to connect with locals and create a shared moment.
Yeah.
You might even get some unexpected photography tips or recommendations for hidden photo spots. I once had a local in Vietnam insist on taking my photo with his motorbike. It was totally unexpected, but it made for a hilarious and memorable photo. Speaking of memorable experiences, what's the best way to get to is more than just about finding the fastest route.
Precisely. It's about understanding the local transportation landscape and the unique rhythms of a place. Sometimes the journey itself can be as enriching as the destination.
You know, you're making me rethink my whole approach to travel. It's not just about checking things off a list, but about slowing down, observing, and embracing the unexpected.
That's the heart of it. And sometimes those unexpected moments lead to the most memorable stories.
Like the time I got completely lost in the back streets of Tokyo and stumbled upon this amazing hidden garden. I was supposed to be at a museum, but getting lost turned out to be the highlight of my day.
Perfect example. And that brings us to our final phrase, the one we all hope to avoid but need to know just in case. I'm lost.
Okay, so beyond the obvious practical use, what are some of the less obvious benefits of admitting you're lost?
Well, getting lost can be a humbling experience. It forces you to rely on others, to step outside your comfort zone and to embrace the unknown. And you never know what unexpected adventures might unfold when you stray from the beaten path.
I've definitely found that to be true.
Yeah.
Getting lost has often led me to some of my most treasured travel discoveries.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, exploring 20 essential travel phrases and uncovering the layers of cultural meaning and potential for connection that lie beneath the surface. What are your final thoughts before we wrap up?
It's amazing how these phrases have gone from simple words to tools for deeper travel experiences. We've talked about asking for help, navigating cultural norms, even the art of getting lost.
And we've only scratched the surface.
Right.
The beauty of languages is that it's constantly evolving. There's always more to learn, new ways to connect, and fresh perspectives to gain.
Absolutely.
That's what makes travel so exciting.
Yeah.
Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to shift the focus to you, the listener.
Which of these 20 phrases resonated with you the most? Have you had any travel experiences where knowing a key phrase made all the difference?
Right.
We'd love to hear your stories and insights.
Because ultimately, the best travel advice comes from shared experiences. It's about learning from each other, building a community of curious explorers, and inspiring one another to embrace the world with open hearts and open minds.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So as you pack your bags for your next adventure, remember that language is more than just words. It's a bridge to understanding, a tool for connection, and a passport to a world of incredible experiences.
Safe travels. And may your journeys be filled with meaningful conversations and unexpected discoveries.
All right, so today we're going to do a deep dive into business English.
Okay.
But not just like your basic vocabulary and definitions. We're going to kind of go a little bit deeper into like how language can actually completely transform your presence in like any professional setting.
Yeah, you know what's so interesting about that is that we tend to focus so much on like the technical aspects of language, grammar and vocabulary, all that stuff. But we kind of forget about the psychological impact of the words we choose. It's like having a secret code almost that can influence, how people perceive us and how they respond to our ideas. And ultimately how we can really, effectively navigate the world of business.
Okay, so not just about sounding smart or professional.
Right.
But using language strategically to like get what you want.
Exactly. Like, think about it. Every phrase, every word is like a little signal. It conveys more than just the surface meaning.
Okay, I like that. So you've got a script here with 20 powerful business English phrases. So what are some of the first ones that can help us make a strong first impression?
Well, right out of the gate, we have, let's get started.
Seems simple, right?
Yeah.
But it's actually a really good way to subtly establish leadership. Taking initiative to kick things off, you're signaling confidence and a proactive mindset.
I can see that. But doesn't it also depend on like the context? Like if you're in a meeting with your boss, maybe you want to let them take the lead.
Yeah, for sure. Adaptability is key.
Yeah.
Let's get started is perfect for situations where you're expected to take charge. Or, like you said, if you want to like inject some energy into a conversation that's stalled.
But reading the room is important.
Always.
Okay, so it's not just about memorizing the phrases. It's about understanding like the nuances of when and how to use them.
Yeah.
Okay, what's next?
Okay, so we have, I'd like to introduce Handy. Now, this might seem like basic courtesy, but it's actually a little deeper than that. When you take the time to introduce people, you're showing respect for them and acknowledging their presence. And this can really foster a more inclusive and collaborative atmosphere right from the start.
Yeah, it's funny how something so simple can have such a big impact on the whole dynamic.
Okay, I'm starting to see the power of these phrases.
And then there's, can we schedule a meeting? Again, this might seem obvious, but think about it. What's the alternative? Popping into someone's office or, sending a bunch of emails back and forth.
Right.
But formally requesting a meeting shows respect for their time, and it shows that you're organized.
Okay, I'm definitely guilty of the, popping in. I can see how that can come across as,
Yeah.
disorganized or even disrespectful, especially for people who really value structure
Totally.
and clear communication.
Yeah, and, everyone's so busy these days, so, valuing people's time is a huge asset.
Okay, so we've talked about those first few phrases, setting the tone and, creating that positive first impression. But what about when you're in the middle of a discussion and things are getting a little bit heated or, going off topic? What are some phrases that can help navigate those situations?
Well, one of my favorites is, let's circle back to that. It's just a really nice way to kind of steer the conversation back on track without, being confrontational or dismissive. You're acknowledging what the other person is saying, but signaling that it's not the priority right now.
Right. Okay. That's much better than saying we're getting sidetracked.
Mm-hmm.
But is there a risk that the person will feel like their idea is being ignored?
Yeah, that's where, active listening is really important. You don't want to just say the phrase and move on, make a mental note to come back to it, or even suggest a specific time to discuss it. It shows them that you value what they're saying, even if it's not the focus right this second.
So it's like you're balancing acknowledging their idea, but also maintaining control of the conversation, but making sure that everyone feels heard.
Exactly.
It's like a little dance.
It is. Okay, what else?
Okay, so then we have, you clarify that. This one's all about clear communication, which is so important in any professional setting.
For sure.
By asking for clarification, you're not only making sure that you understand, but you're also prompting them to articulate their thoughts more clearly.
Yeah, because sometimes you think you understand what someone means, but then when you ask for clarification, it can reveal these hidden nuances or even prevent misunderstandings later on.
Exactly. And especially in business where decisions have big consequences, clarity is crucial.
Yeah, it could be the difference between a successful project and, a big mistake.
Huge.
Okay, so we've covered setting the tone, protecting everyone's time, steering the conversation back on track, and making sure that everyone's communicating clearly. What's next?
So welcome back to our deep dive into, the power of language and business English.
Okay, so before we move on to the next set of phrases, I think it's interesting that you mentioned empathy. I usually think about empathy in terms of personal relationships, not really in the workplace.
Yeah, that's a pretty common misconception, actually. But, even in a professional setting, you're dealing with people who have, their own motivations and perspectives and even insecurities. So when you tap into that empathy, you can really create a more understanding and collaborative environment.
Okay, I'm curious, how does empathy translate to practical communication skills?
Well, it starts with, really listening and trying to understand where the other person is coming from. But it also goes beyond that. It's like reading between the lines, picking up on nonverbal cues, and just being sensitive to their emotional state.
So it's not just what they're saying, it's how they're saying it.
Exactly. Imagine you're in a team meeting and someone seems a little hesitant to share their ideas. Instead of just saying, what do you think? You could say something like, I sense you might have some thoughts on this. We'd love to hear your perspective.
Yeah, that's a good example. It's like you're acknowledging their hesitation and creating a safe space for them to contribute.
Exactly. And that's how empathy can really, help build trust and rapport. When people feel heard and understood, they're more likely to open up and share their ideas, and it just creates a more positive and productive work environment.
Okay, so empathy is like the secret ingredient.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, let's get back to our list of power phrases.
Yeah.
We've covered first impressions and navigating discussions. What about the phrases that can help us, keep things moving and make sure everyone's on the same page?
Okay, well, a classic one is I'll follow up with you.
Okay.
Now, it might seem like just a simple courtesy, but it's actually a really powerful way to show accountability. When you say that, you're not only reassuring the person that you've heard their concern, but you're also committing to taking action.
Oh, I never thought about it that way. But you're right. It's like turning a vague promise into a concrete commitment.
Yeah, and in business, trust and reliability are so important.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, what's another phrase that falls under this category?
So we have, let's touch base. It's just a nice way to maintain momentum on a project without being too formal or demanding. It just implies an open line of communication.
I use that one all the time.
Yeah.
But I guess it's more than just a casual check-in. It's about, fostering a sense of collaboration and shared responsibility.
Exactly. It's about creating a dynamic where everyone feels comfortable communicating updates and, working together.
Okay, so we've talked about following up and touching base. What about keeping people informed? Sometimes it's easy to get siloed or people feel left out of the loop.
Yeah, for sure. That's where a phrase like, I'll keep you in the loop can be really useful. It's simple, but it's effective. You're demonstrating transparency and making sure that everyone feels included.
But is there a risk of over-communicating? Do I really need to keep everyone updated on every single detail?
Yeah, that's where using your judgment comes in. It's about finding a balance between keeping people informed without overwhelming them with too much information.
So be strategic and intentional.
Exactly.
Not just copying everyone on every email.
Right. It's about respecting people's time and attention.
Okay, we're making good progress here.
Yeah.
We've covered first impressions, navigating discussions, and staying on top of things. What's next?
Okay, so now we're moving into the area of collaboration and teamwork.
Okay.
This is where phrases like, what's the timeline, become really important. It's about, setting clear expectations and making sure everyone's on the same page about deadlines.
I like that it's straightforward.
Yeah.
Gets right to the point.
And then we have phrases like, that's a great point, and I appreciate your input. Now, these might seem like simple pleasantries, but they're actually really important for creating a positive team environment.
Yeah, you're acknowledging their contribution and validating their ideas.
Exactly. It's about creating a space where people feel comfortable sharing their thoughts,
Without being judged.
Right.
I've definitely been in meetings where people are afraid to speak up.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to be shut down.
It makes a big difference.
Okay, what else?
So then we have, let's table this for now. This is a great way to acknowledge an idea without letting it completely derail the conversation.
Right, the art of the gentle deferral.
Yeah, I like that.
So many meetings get sidetracked.
Totally.
By one little tangent.
Exactly. And this is a way to say, we hear you, but let's stay focused.
Okay, I'm liking these insights.
And to round out this section on collaboration, we have, how can I assist you?
Okay.
This might seem basic, but it's actually a really powerful way to demonstrate teamwork and support.
Yeah, it's more than just offering help. It's like expressing a willingness to contribute to the team's success.
Exactly. It's about fostering a culture of mutual support where everyone feels comfortable, asking for help and offering their expertise.
Okay, so we've covered setting a positive tone, navigating discussions, staying organized and collaborating effectively. What's next?
Okay, so now we're moving into the realm of decision-making, action, and leadership.
Yep.
These are the phrases that can really help you drive projects forward and inspire your team to achieve their goals.
Okay, I'm ready for this. But I think we're going to need a little more time to dive into these phrases.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's just save that for the final part of our deep dive.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned, listeners. We'll be right back to explore how to use language to inspire action, drive results, and unleash your inner leader. Okay, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into business English. And we're talking about how to use language to really inspire action and drive results and unleash our, inner leaders.
Exactly.
So we've unpacked a lot already. But I think this last set of phrases is where it gets really interesting.
You're right. These final phrases are all about moving from discussion to decision-making and from ideas to action.
Okay, I'm ready.
So let's start with, we need to align on this.
Okay.
This phrase is all about achieving consensus, making sure everyone's moving in the same direction. It's particularly effective when you're facing a complex decision or when there are differing opinions.
Okay, so it's more collaborative than just like dictating a decision.
Exactly.
It's more inclusive.
Yeah, you're inviting everyone to participate in the decision-making process.
Right. And that makes people feel more ownership of the outcome.
Exactly.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we need to align on this. It's about getting everyone on the same page. What's next?
Okay, so next we have let's prioritize.
Okay.
This is about, focusing your energy on the most important tasks.
Right, because it's easy to get bogged down
Totally.
in a million little things.
Especially in a fast-paced business environment.
Yeah.
But this phrase helps you cut through the noise and stay focused on what really matters.
I like it. It's like a mental decluttering tool for your to-do list.
I like that.
It forces you to say no to the things that aren't essential.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got alignment, we've got prioritization.
Yeah.
What other phrases can help us move from talking to doing?
Okay, well, I'd like to emphasize this is a really good way to draw attention to certain points and make sure they don't get lost.
Okay.
It's particularly useful when you're presenting or leading a discussion or giving feedback.
Oh, it's like a verbal highlighter?
Yeah.
It's like, pay attention, this is important.
Exactly.
Cool, what's next?
Okay, we have, can you provide an update? This one is all about accountability and making sure that projects stay on track.
Okay.
It's a really simple way to request progress reports, gather information, and keep everyone in the loop.
I use that one all the time.
Yeah,
But I guess it's more than just asking for information.
it is.
It's about setting expectations and keeping things moving.
Exactly. And it helps everyone feel accountable for their part of the project.
Okay, so we've covered alignment, prioritization, emphasis, and accountability. What other phrases can help us really inspire action?
Okay, well, there's that classic, we need to think outside the box. I know it's a bit overused, but the sentiment behind it is still really important.
Right.
It's about encouraging creativity, challenging assumptions, and exploring new possibilities.
I admit I kind of roll my eyes when I hear that sometimes.
Yeah,
But you're right, it's about the intention. It's about pushing ourselves to be more innovative.
exactly.
Okay, what else?
And finally, we have, let's move forward with this plan. This one is all about decisiveness and taking action.
Okay.
It signals that the decision has been made and it's time to get things moving.
It's like a call to action.
Exactly.
All right, we've covered so much today. It's amazing how much power these little phrases have.
I know, it's pretty cool, right?
It's like you've given us a secret decoder ring for business success.
I like that.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's one final question you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Okay, think about this. Beyond these specific phrases, what personal qualities do you think contribute to effective communication? Is it confidence, empathy, active listening?
Ooh, that's good.
Cultivating those qualities can really make you a more impactful communicator.
Yeah, because communication's about so much more than just the words, right? It's about connecting with people and building trust and inspiring action.
Exactly.
So keep practicing and keep refining your communication style. And keep striving to connect with people in meaningful and authentic ways. Until next time, go out there and communicate like a pro. All right, let's dive in. We're taking a look at something pretty fundamental today. Basic English greetings.
Ah, yeah.
You actually sent in a script for a language learning video,
Yeah.
which I think is a super interesting way to think about how we use these phrases, even the ones that seem really simple.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, greetings are interesting because they can be very simple on the surface.
Right.
But there's so much more to them. There's all this cultural context and social nuance that we bring to them.
Yeah. I'm excited to kind of unpack that. So your script actually starts with hello, which seems like the most, kind of universal greeting.
You're right. Hello is something that can be used in almost any situation,
Yeah.
whether it's formal or informal. But even though it's versatile, there are some subtle differences in how we use it.
I'm curious about those. What kind of nuances are we talking about here?
Well, if you think about hello compared to hi, your script puts those right next to each other.
Right.
And hello is kind of like the more formal, always appropriate greeting,
Okay.
like a handshake.
Gotcha.
But hi is a little bit friendlier, a bit more relaxed, more casual.
Oh, hi is more like a fist bump then.
Exactly. Yeah. And you wouldn't really fist bump your boss at a meeting, right?
Right, right.
So that's kind of how it works with these greetings.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy to kind of make sense of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, your script also has these time-specific greetings. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I've always wondered about these. Are they actually necessary, or can you just use hello for all of them?
I think hello is like the basic greeting, the basic courtesy.
Okay.
But using those time-specific greetings shows that you're, aware of the time of day and the social situation.
Right.
And it's not essential, but it can make a good impression.
So it's almost like you're saying, I'm not just greeting you, I'm also acknowledging the time that we're sharing together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in some cultures, it's really important to use the right greeting for the time of day.
Right.
It shows that you understand and respect their social norms.
That makes sense. So now let's move on to how are you? I feel like I use this phrase all the time, but honestly, I'm usually not really looking for a detailed answer. It's more of a habit than a genuine question.
You've touched on something really important. How are you has kind of become a social ritual. It's less about, finding out how someone is actually feeling.
Right.
And more about just acknowledging them.
So how do we respond to this ritual? Your script gives a few standard responses like, I'm fine, thank you, and you.
Oh.
Or I'm doing well, thanks. Are those the best ways to respond?
Yeah, those are great responses. They keep the conversation flowing without getting too personal.
Right.
You acknowledge the question, give a brief positive answer, and then politely turn the question back to the other person.
It's amazing how much we can pack into these simple phrases. It's like a little secret code.
It really is. And speaking of codes, let's look at what's up. Is this really a genuine question, or is it just a casual greeting?
I feel like what's up is something you hear in movies and TV shows a lot, like a group of friends hanging out. Is it actually that common in everyday conversation?
Oh, it definitely is, especially among friends or peers. Yeah. But it's not really an invitation to give a long, detailed answer. It's more like a quick check-in, like, hey, what's going on?
So if someone asks me, what's up, I shouldn't launch into a story about my day.
Right, unless they specifically ask for more details.
Okay.
The script suggests some casual replies like, not much, or just hanging out.
Yep.
Those keep things light and informal.
So it's kind of like, what's up, comes in, says hello, and then flies away.
I like that analogy. It really captures the essence of it. It's about connecting, not necessarily having a deep conversation.
Okay, so we've covered hello, hi, the time-specific greetings, how are you, and what's up. Your script also includes nice to meet you and long time no see. Those seem pretty straightforward, but I'm guessing there's more to them than meets the eye.
You're right. I mean, nice to meet you might seem obvious, but it really signals a first-time interaction.
Right.
It's like the formal way to introduce yourself.
And long time no see
Yeah.
means you've met the person before.
Yeah, exactly. It acknowledges that you have some shared history, even if it's just a brief encounter.
Okay.
And it often leads to a conversation about what's happened since you last saw each other.
So long time no see is more than just a greeting. It's a way to reconnect.
That's a great way to put it. It's like an invitation to catch up.
That's really insightful. Okay, the last phrase on your script is, how's it going? We already talked about how are you? How is this one different?
How's it going is a little more informal. And it can be about more things than just how someone is feeling.
Okay.
Like, how are you is usually about their health or well-being.
Right.
But how's it going can be about work or life or just their general mood.
So how's it going? It's kind of like giving them more options.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you're inviting them to share, but without putting too much pressure on them.
This is really making me think about all these little differences.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it?
It is. So your script explains all these greetings really well. I mean, it gives examples and everything. But I wonder, are there any common mistakes people make when using them? Even native English speakers?
Oh, all the time.
Really?
Like sometimes people use a greeting that's too formal for the situation.
Like saying good evening at a lunch with friends?
Exactly. Or using what's up in a job interview.
Oh, yeah. That wouldn't go over well.
No, not at all. And another common mistake is forgetting to reciprocate.
What do you mean?
Like, even if how are you is more of a formality,
Right.
it's still polite to respond and ask the other person how they are.
So it's like an unspoken rule. You have to keep the conversation going.
Exactly. If you ignore someone's greeting, even if it's just a hey,
Right.
it can seem rude.
You mentioned earlier that time-specific greetings can be really important in some cultures. Are there other cultural things to be aware of when using English greetings?
Definitely. Even though English is spoken all over the world,
Right.
the way people greet each other can be different in different cultures.
So it's not just about the words themselves.
No, it's about understanding the cultural context, too.
Does body language play a role in English greetings? Like, Handshakes or hugs?
Oh, absolutely. In formal situations, a handshake is very common.
Okay.
But with close friends or family, hugs might be more appropriate.
And a smile always helps. All right.
A smile makes everyone feel more comfortable.
So for someone who's totally new to English,
Mm-hmm.
what advice would you give them about learning these greetings?
I would say to start with the most basic ones,
Okay.
like hello, hi, the time-specific greetings, and how are you?
So this is like the foundation.
Exactly. And once you feel comfortable with those, you can start learning some of the more nuanced greetings.
And practice makes perfect, right?
Exactly. The more you use them, the more natural they'll become.
Your script is really helpful for that. It explains everything so clearly.
Yeah, I hope so.
I'm curious, do you think the way we greet each other is changing at all?
That's a good question.
I mean, language is always evolving,
Right.
so maybe greetings are changing too.
With things like texting and social media, we definitely see new greetings popping up.
Yeah, like, hey there, or what's good?
And don't forget about emojis.
Oh, yeah. A wave emoji can be a greeting now.
Right.
It's like we have a whole new language of digital greetings.
Yeah, it is.
But I think those classic greetings will always be around.
I agree. There's something timeless about them.
It's like they're a fundamental part of human connection.
Yeah, I think so.
We've talked about so much today,
We have.
from the simplest greetings to the more complex ones, and even how greetings are changing in the digital age.
It's been a really interesting discussion.
Yeah, it's been a real eye-opener to think about greetings in this much detail.
Right.
They're so ingrained in how we interact.
It's true. We don't always stop to think about them.
So I want to leave our listeners with a little challenge. As we wrap up this deep dive, think about which greetings you use most often and why.
Interesting.
Is it the classic hello? Or maybe you're more of a what's up person?
Yeah, good point.
Whatever it is, think about what it says about you and how you communicate.
And as you go about your day today, pay attention to how other people use greetings.
Oh yeah, good idea.
Notice the little differences in how they say them, the tone, the body language, all of it.
It's like we're sending you all on a mission.
Yeah, like a greeting detective.
Exactly. You might even find a new greeting that you really like.
Oh, that would be fun.
And then you can add it to your own collection.
Expand your horizons.
All right, well, that's about it for our deep dive into English greetings. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Welcome back, everyone. We're going deep today into idioms.
Sounds fun.
You know, those quirky English expressions that can make you sound like, well, a native speaker. And luckily,
Luckily,
we have this script from a video all about common idioms.
perfect. Idioms are a great way to...
I know, right? They can be a little confusing, but also kind of fun. Like, what's raining cats and dogs even supposed to mean?
Well, that's the beauty of idioms.
Exactly. And later on, we'll break down not just what they mean, but also where they come from and how you can actually, use them in real life.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Let's dive in. What's the first idiom on the list?
Okay, so first up, we have break the ice.
Classic.
Right. The script says it means to start a conversation in a social situation. Like, it was awkward at first, but telling a joke helped break the ice.
Makes sense. It's all about, easing that initial tension.
Oh, like when you meet someone new.
Exactly. Or you're in a group where people don't really know each other. You need something to...
To get things going.
Exactly. Just like literally breaking ice on a frozen river to create a path.
Oh, I see. So it's like you're creating a path for conversation.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Making it easier for people to connect.
That's a good analogy.
It is, isn't it?
But would you use break the ice for any conversation?
Good question. Maybe not for like super serious topics.
Right. Imagine saying, I broke the ice by bringing up my recent surgery.
Yeah, no, not quite the right vibe.
It's more for like lighthearted conversations.
Exactly. Think funny stories, compliments. You want to create a welcoming atmosphere.
I got it. I can definitely see myself using this one. All right, next idiom. And this one I'm sure we've all experienced. Under the weather.
Yes. Meaning feeling sick or unwell.
Right, like I'm feeling a bit under the weather, so I'm staying home today.
Exactly. It's a way to say you're not feeling great.
But I've always wondered, isn't sick as a dog more common?
You're right. That's definitely more informal and maybe a bit dramatic.
So is under the weather more polite?
I'd say so. It's a bit subtler. Yeah. Especially in a professional setting.
Makes sense. You don't want to be too graphic.
Right.
All right, on to idiom number 3. Hit the nail on the head.
Ooh. I like this one. It means to describe something perfectly.
Like, When you said I was stressed because of work, you hit the nail on the head.
Perfect example. It's like you've identified the exact cause of a situation or problem.
And it feels so good when someone just gets it. Like they understand you completely.
Absolutely. And the idiom emphasizes that precision, like hitting a nail right on the head.
Okay, this next idiom is a classic piece of cake.
Meaning something is very easy to do.
The script gives this example. Don't worry about the test, it's a piece of cake.
Easy peasy.
Right, but I've always wondered where that comes from.
Well, one theory goes back to the late 19th century, when cakes were given as prizes at competitions.
So winning a cake was like an easy victory.
Exactly. So the idiom suggests that something is as effortless as winning a cake.
I like that, though I can't imagine using it for something really difficult, like performing brain surgery is a piece of cake.
Uh-huh. Yeah, probably not the best choice.
Okay, time to spill the beans.
Ooh, juicy. This one means to reveal a secret.
Or a surprise. The example they gave is, we were planning a surprise party, but John spilled the beans.
Oops. The secret's out.
So it's like accidentally ruining a surprise.
Sometimes intentionally, but often it's unintentional.
I always thought this idiom was kind of random, but it turns out it has a pretty interesting history.
Oh, tell me about it.
Well, apparently it comes from ancient Greece.
Ancient Greece, what were they spilling? Olive oil?
Nope, beans. They use beans for voting.
No way.
Yeah. So spilling the beans could literally reveal the election results.
That's amazing. So it went from political secrets to just any kind of secret.
Precisely. Idioms can evolve over time.
I love that.
Next up, an idiom I'm very familiar with. Cost an arm and a leg, meaning something is super expensive. Right, like that new car cost me an arm and a leg.
It's a way to emphasize how much something costs.
Often with a bit of humor.
I mean, imagine actually paying for something with your limbs.
Terrifying.
But it does capture that feeling
Yeah.
of spending way more than you expected, like when you get the bill at a fancy restaurant.
Oh, I know that feeling.
And it's definitely more memorable than just saying it was expensive.
It is. It paints a picture.
Okay, we have another idiom about revealing secrets. Let the cat out of the bag.
Ah, another classic.
It means to accidentally reveal a secret.
The script says, we were trying to keep the project under wraps, but someone let the cat out of the bag.
Oops, there it goes. Where does that phrase even come from?
Well, picture this. Medieval markets, people selling pigs in bags.
Pigs in bags.
Yeah. Sometimes dishonest sellers would swap the pig for a cat.
Because cats were cheaper.
Exactly. So if the cat escaped the bag, well, the secret was out.
That's hilarious.
It really is. And it shows how idioms can create such vivid imagery. All right, next up, we have the ball is in your court, meaning it's someone else's turn to make a decision or take action.
The script uses this example. I sent you the proposal. Now the ball is in your court.
So you're basically passing the responsibility to the other person.
Exactly. And the origin is pretty literal. It comes from sports, like tennis or basketball.
Oh, yeah, where players take turns hitting or passing the ball.
Right. It's like, I've made my move. Now it's your turn.
I like that.
It's a really useful idiom in various situations.
All right, time to bite the bullet, meaning to face a difficult situation with courage.
That sounds tough.
It can be. The example here is, I hate public speaking, but I had to bite the bullet and give the presentation.
I've been there. But where does that idiom come from? It sounds kind of painful.
It is. It actually comes from the days before anesthesia.
No way, really?
Yeah, patients would literally bite down on a bullet to endure painful procedures.
Wow. That puts our modern-day anxieties into perspective.
Right. Sometimes we just have to face those unpleasant tasks head on.
You said it. Like, okay, this is going to be rough, but I'm just going to get through it.
Exactly. And sometimes getting things done means working late.
Which leads us to burn the midnight oil, meaning to work late into the night.
The example is, I've been burning the midnight oil to finish this report.
Ah, the joys of deadlines.
Right. And I love the imagery of this one. It reminds me of like old oil lamps when you literally burn oil to stay up late and work.
It does evoke a sense of dedication
Yeah,
and hard work, doesn't it?
it does. All right. This next idiom, I think our student listeners will appreciate. Hit the books.
Meaning to study intensely.
Exactly. Like, sorry, I can't go out tonight. I need to hit the books.
I remember using that one all the time in college.
It's so relatable.
And it uses hit in such an aggressive way, like you're tackling those textbooks.
I know, right? It's like, time to get serious and cram all this information into my brain. Okay, let's switch gears to a more philosophical idiom. Actions speak louder than words.
Classic.
It emphasizes that what we do matters more than what we say.
It's a reminder that true character is revealed through actions.
It's such a universal message.
It really is.
Okay, last idiom for this section. Let's call it a day.
Simple, but effective.
It's a way to signal the end of a task or activity. Like, we've made good progress today. Let's call it a day and pick up where we left off tomorrow.
I see it as a collective sigh of relief. Like, okay, we worked hard, now it's time to rest.
It's about finding that balance between work and life.
That's so important.
Wow, we've covered so much already. We're just getting started.
I know, right? So many fascinating idioms to explore.
Each with its own little story.
And history. Exactly. And we'll unpack more of them after the break. So stay tuned.
You won't want to miss it.
All right, ready for more idioms?
Bring it on.
Okay, this next one might make you feel all happy inside.
Ooh, is it on cloud 9? That's one of my favorites.
You got it. It describes a feeling of extreme happiness, like you're floating on air.
Yeah, like when you achieve something amazing.
Exactly. The example they give is she was on cloud 9 after receiving the award.
I love that imagery. It's like, you're so happy. You're above all the worries of the world.
Exactly. It's a much more expressive way to say happy or excited.
Way more. Okay, remember that idiom we talked about at the very beginning?
The one with all the animals.
Yeah, it's raining cats and dogs.
Yeah. Yes, that one.
I've always wondered, where does that even come from?
Well, the origin is a bit of a mystery, but there's one theory that links it to Norse mythology.
Norse mythology, like Vikings and stuff.
Exactly. Apparently, dogs were associated with wind.
Okay.
And cats were associated with rain. So heavy downpour was like these mythical forces unleashing their fury.
That's so cool. I never knew that.
It's amazing how idioms can give us these glimpses into history and culture.
Right. Each one has its own little story. You know, it's making me think we could almost create a story using all these idioms.
I like that idea. Let's try it. How about a scenario where someone's preparing for a big presentation?
Yeah.
At work.
Okay, I'm in. So they're probably feeling a bit under the weather, you know, with nerves.
Exactly. But they know they have to bite the bullet and face their fear of public speaking.
Right. So they hit the books and spend hours researching, preparing their slides, maybe even burn the midnight oil to get everything perfect.
And when they finally deliver that presentation, they hit the nail on the head with all their key points and totally captivate the audience.
Yes. And the feedback is amazing. Their boss is like, you absolutely nailed it. The ball is in your court now to take this project to the next level.
And they leave the meeting feeling like they're on cloud 9.
Totally. Like they can conquer anything.
Exactly. That's the power of a well-delivered presentation.
And you know, it's amazing how we are able to weave all those idioms into a real-life scenario.
It shows how they can add color and personality to our conversations.
And make us sound more fluent and confident. Right, definitely. You know, going through these idioms, I've realized something. It's not just about sounding like a native speaker.
It's more than that. Yeah, it's also about understanding the culture and history behind the language.
Like spill the beans being connected to ancient Greek voting. Who would have thought?
Right. It's fascinating. Language is constantly changing and adapting.
Reflecting the changes in society and culture.
Precisely. So for anyone listening who wants to master English idioms, don't just memorize the meanings.
There's more to it. Yeah.
Try to understand the stories behind them, the imagery they evoke.
Yeah.
And the cultural context.
That's a great point. Okay, so we've explored 14 idioms so far. Are there any other English expressions that you find particularly interesting or puzzling?
That's a good question. One that comes to mind is kick the bucket, which is, well, a rather blunt way to say someone has died.
Kick the bucket? That's a strange one. What does kicking a bucket have to do with dying?
I know, right? It's a little morbid.
So where does it come from?
Well, one theory links it to the way pigs were slaughtered in the past. Yeah, they would be hung upside down by their feet. And sometimes they would thrash around and kick a bucket that was placed beneath them.
Oh, wow. That's a bit dark. But interesting.
It is, isn't it? But it just goes to show language can be both beautiful and strange.
And how some idioms have these unexpected origins.
For sure.
Okay, maybe we should save those darker idioms for another deep dive.
Agreed. Let's focus on the positive.
We've learned so many great idioms today.
And it's just the beginning. There are countless more out there, waiting to be explored.
I'm already thinking of ways to use them in my own conversations.
That's great. And remember, the journey of language learning is all about exploration and discovery. So we've made it to our final idiom. It's raining cats and dogs.
Yes, the one that started it all.
The idiom that makes everyone wonder, wait, what?
I know. But, after learning about its possible origins in Norse mythology,
It's kind of amazing, right?
it is. It's like this little piece of history embedded in our language.
It makes you appreciate how rich
Yeah.
and complex English really is.
It does. So what does the script say about the meaning of raining cats and dogs?
Okay, let's see. It says it means to rain heavily, like really heavily.
Oh, so it's not literal.
Nope, no cats or dogs falling from the sky.
That's probably for the best.
Probably. But it does paint a pretty vivid picture of a downpour.
It does. I can almost see it now. Okay, out of all the idioms we've talked about today,
All 15 of them.
yeah, which one was your favorite?
Ooh, that's tough. But I think I have to go with actions speak louder than words. It's such a powerful reminder that what we do matters more than what we say.
I love that one too. It's so true. But I think mine might be raining cats and dogs.
Really? Why that one?
I just like how quirky it is. It's so unexpected and memorable. And now that we know about the Norse mythology connection.
It's even cooler.
Right. Okay, for everyone listening out there,
Who's ready to spice up their English?
don't be afraid to use these idioms. Experiment with them. Have fun with it.
That's the key. Have fun. Language learning shouldn't be a chore. It should be an adventure.
Exactly. And if you come across an idiom that you don't understand, just look it up or ask a native speaker. It's all part of the learning process.
And who knows? Maybe you'll even discover a new favorite idiom.
I'd love to hear it if you do.
Me too.
Well, I think that wraps up our deep dive into the world of English idioms.
We did it.
I had so much fun exploring these expressions, and I hope you did too.
I definitely did. It's amazing how much you can learn from just a few simple phrases.
So true. And remember, keep those linguistic curiosities flowing.
And keep exploring.
We'll be back soon with another deep dive into a new and exciting topic. Until then, happy language learning.
All right, time to dive into some English phrases. And these phrases will help you sound like a natural, whether you're just starting out or maybe you've been speaking English for a while. Today, we're going to be taking a look at a lesson script. And this script is absolutely packed with 20 phrases you'll hear all the time in real conversations. I'm excited to see what gems we uncover today. What do you think?
Well, these phrases are particularly interesting because it's not just about the words themselves. It's about those subtle meanings that they carry. Mastering these phrases isn't just about the grammar. It's about understanding the culture that lies behind the language.
That's what I love about languages. There's always more to learn. So our script kicks off with greetings and introductions, which is fitting. I mean, usually that's how conversations even start. And first up is the classic, how's it going? I'll admit, I've probably overused this one a time or two, but what's the deeper meaning here? It seems so simple on the surface.
It is simple on the surface, which is I think why it's so popular. But you're right, there's more to it than just asking about someone's day. How's it going? Is more of a social signal. It's a way to acknowledge someone, Open the door for interaction. Think of it as a little verbal handshake.
Okay, so it's more about setting a friendly tone than getting like a detailed rundown of their morning commute.
Exactly. You wouldn't launch into a story about your crazy day in response to how's it going? It's about keeping things light and casual. And it's also interesting to consider how this kind of greeting varies across cultures. In some cultures, you might be expected to ask about someone's family, their work, before even jumping into casual conversation.
So it's like there are like unwritten rules about how to start a conversation, depending on where you are.
Precisely. And it's a reminder that language isn't just about words. It's about understanding the cultural context.
This is fascinating. Okay, on to the next greeting in our script. Nice to meet you. This one feels pretty straightforward, especially if you're meeting someone for the first time.
It is straightforward, but that doesn't mean it's not important. Nice to meet you
Is all about showing politeness, a willingness to engage. And it's really the foundation for building rapport.
Right. It sets the stage for a positive interaction. Now, our script also mentions what's up.
Yeah.
which feels way more casual.
Yeah, you're right. What's up is definitely more informal. It suggests a sense of familiarity, like you're talking to a friend or, someone you're comfortable with.
Like saying, hey, what's new in your world?
Exactly. And the beauty of it is that the response can be anything from not much to a quick update on what they've been doing.
I'm noticing a pattern here. Even with greetings, there are so many subtle ways to convey different levels of formality.
Okay, let's shift gears and look at expressing gratitude and politeness. The first phrase on our list is thank you so much. I can't imagine there are many cultural differences with this one.
Thank you so much is pretty universal. You're right. It's your go-to for showing appreciation, whether someone held the door open for you or helped you with a big project.
Now, I'm curious about the responses to thank you. Our script mentions no problem, which feels very casual to me. Is it replacing the traditional you're welcome?
That's a great question. No problem does reflect a shift towards informality in modern English. You'll hear it everywhere these days. And while you're welcome is still perfectly fine, especially in more formal situations, no problem conveys a more relaxed, almost like breezy attitude.
So instead of making it a big deal, you're basically saying it was nothing, don't even mention it.
Exactly. It downplays the effort and creates a sense of ease.
I like it. Makes things less stuffy. All right, up next we have could you please? This one's all about making polite requests.
It's a classic for a reason. Think about it. If you need something like another fork at a restaurant, could you please bring me another fork? Sounds much more polite than give me a fork.
That could you please is like adding a spoonful of sugar to help the request go down smoothly. Speaking of requests, let's move on to asking for information. The first phrase we have is, excuse me, can you help me? I feel like I've used this one a lot when traveling.
Oh, it's definitely a lifesaver when you're lost or confused. Imagine you're at a train station and can't find your platform. Starting with excuse me is key because it gets someone's attention politely. And then can you help me? Get straight to the point.
It's like a universal signal for I need assistance, please be kind.
Exactly. And it works in so many situations, not just when you're traveling.
Now, let's talk about a phrase that's probably every language learner's best friend. What does this mean? I know I've used this one countless times.
Don't be shy about using this phrase. It shows that you're eager to learn, expand your vocabulary. You can even point to the word or phrase that you're asking about to avoid any confusion.
So much better than pretending you understand and then getting lost later on. Plus, asking questions can lead to interesting conversations and insights into the culture.
Absolutely. It shows that you're engaged and interested in learning. All right, so we've covered greetings, expressing gratitude, asking for information. Now let's move on to some phrases that are essential for navigating everyday conversations. Our script has a few gems in this category that are worth exploring. What do you think?
Absolutely. I'm always looking for ways to make my conversations flow more naturally. What have we got?
Well, the first one is, I'm not sure. It seems simple, but it can be incredibly useful in social situations.
Yeah, I can see that. Sometimes you just don't have an answer right away, and make sure buys you some time without sounding clueless.
Exactly. It's all about acknowledging the question without feeling pressured to, invent an answer on the spot. Plus, it often leads naturally into a follow-up, like, let me double check, or I'll find out.
So it's not about admitting defeat. It's about showing that you're willing to get the right information. I like it. Okay, let's switch gears to something a bit more positive. The script highlights that sounds great, which just screams enthusiasm.
You're right. It's all about conveying positive energy. Imagine a friend suggests trying a new restaurant. A heartfelt, that sounds great, not only expresses your interest, but also makes them feel good about their suggestion.
It's like a verbal high five. Okay, now for a phrase that I find really interesting because it can be interpreted in different ways. I see. It seems straightforward, but I have a feeling it has some hidden depths.
You're absolutely right. I see is fascinating because it doesn't always mean agreement. It's often more about signaling that you've processed the information and are following along.
So in a way, it's more about being a good listener than expressing your own opinion.
Precisely. Let's say your boss is explaining a new project and you say, I see. You're showing that you're paying attention, understanding the details, but you might not be ready to give your feedback just yet.
It's like a subtle way of saying, okay, keep going, I'm with you. That's really useful. Now, how about what do you think? This one feels like a classic way to invite someone to share their perspective.
It is a classic, and for good reason. What do you think? Shows that you value someone's opinion. and you want to hear their thoughts. It opens the door for a genuine exchange of ideas.
Whether you're deciding on a movie or brainstorming a project, that simple question shows that you're interested in collaboration.
Exactly. It's about fostering a sense of partnership, respecting different viewpoints.
Okay, now for a phrase that I personally use all the time, let me check. It's my go-to when I need a moment to gather my thoughts or look something up. It saved me from countless awkward silences.
Let me check is a brilliant way to buy yourself some time gracefully. Imagine a client asks for information that you don't have at your fingertips. A calm, let me check my notes and get back to you, sounds much more professional than, panicking or making something up on the spot.
It projects a sense of competence and control. Okay, we've explored some everyday conversation essentials. Now let's dive into socializing and making plans. Our script starts with, do you want to? Which seems like the most natural way to invite someone to do something.
You're right. It's the foundation of countless social interactions. Do you want to grab lunch? Do you want to see a movie? It's simple. It's direct. It opens the door to shared experiences.
And a simple yes or let's do it seals the deal. But what about those times when you can't accept an invitation? The script mentions, I'm sorry, I can't, which seems like a good starting point.
It is, but sometimes it can sound a bit blunt on its own. Adding a brief explanation softens the blow and shows that you're not rejecting the person, just their specific request. Something like, I'm sorry I can't, I already have plans, or I have to work late that night.
It's all about those little touches of empathy, making the other person feel heard and understood, even if you can't get what they're asking.
Exactly, and it also leaves the door open for making plans in the future. Instead of just, I can't, you could say, I can't this time, but maybe next week.
I love that. It's a way of saying, I value our connection, even if our schedules don't align right now.
Precisely. It's about maintaining those relationships, showing that you're interested in spending time together.
Okay, we're making great progress. Now let's move on to common expressions. First up, that's interesting. Now this one can be tricky because it can sound genuine or sarcastic depending on the delivery. I've definitely misjudged the tone of this one a time or two.
You're not alone. That's interesting. Requires careful navigation. When delivered with genuine curiosity and a follow-up question, it shows that you're engaged in the conversation. But if it's said with a flat tone or a raised eyebrow, it can convey disinterest or even sarcasm.
So it's all about those nonverbal cues, the tone of voice, the facial expression, the overall vibe.
Precisely. Context is key with this phrase. It's a reminder that communication is about so much more than just the words we say.
All right, for our last phrase in this section I'll let you know. This one feels like a classic way to buy yourself some time and avoid making a decision on the spot. I'm curious to hear your take on this one.
Yeah, it feels like a polite way to say, I need to think about it, without actually saying it. What are your thoughts? Well, it is polite, but it's also incredibly versatile. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Is the master of non-committal responses. It keeps your options open, avoids putting pressure on the situation, gives you time to gather more information before making a decision.
So it's a perfect way to handle those situations where you don't want to commit one way or the other right away. For example, if someone invites you to an event, but you need to check your calendar first, I'll let you know, is a graceful way to respond without feeling obligated to say yes or no on the spot.
Exactly. You're acknowledging the invitation without making a promise that you might not be able to keep. It's about managing expectations, navigating social situations with finesse.
I like that. It's like a subtle art form. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today. We've explored greetings, expressions of gratitude, ways to ask for information, essentials for everyday conversation, tips for socializing and making plans, and even some common expressions that can be tricky to master. Wow, that's a lot of phrases.
It is. But remember, it's not just about memorizing the phrases themselves. It's about understanding the cultural context behind them and how they're used in real-life situations.
Right. We've talked about how even simple phrases like, how's it going, can have different meanings depending on the culture and context.
Exactly. Language is so much more than just words. It's a reflection of our values, our customs, and our ways of interacting with the world around us.
That's what makes language learning so fascinating. You're not just learning words, you're gaining insights into another culture.
So to our listeners, I have a challenge for you. Pick one of the phrases we've discussed today and try it out in a real conversation.
I agree. Even practicing one phrase a day can make a huge difference in how confident and natural you feel speaking English.
It's all about taking small steps and building on your success. And as you continue your language learning journey, remember that there's always more to discover. I'll leave you with this thought. How do these seemingly simple phrases shape our perceptions and interactions? What other hidden rules of language might you uncover? Keep your curiosity alive, and your journey with English will be endlessly rewarding.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time. All right, so let's dive into some really practical stuff today.
Okay.
Essential English words. If you're trying to really nail those everyday conversations, and we're going beyond the basics here, our source material is this lesson plan on 100 essential words. It's nicely organized by theme.
Structure is so helpful.
Yeah.
It's like having a roadmap, instead of just a pile of words.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So our mission is to pick out the most impactful words from each of these categories.
Okay.
Think of it as a greatest hits playlist for your English conversation skills.
Okay, I like that.
I'm curious to see which words you think pack the biggest punch.
Well, let's start with the greetings and basics section.
Okay.
You might think these are simple,
Right.
but there's more to them than meets the eye.
Okay.
Yeah, take please and thank you, for example. Sure, they're polite, but they go way deeper than that. They're like social lubricants, smoothing out interactions and showing respect, regardless of culture.
It's fascinating how such small words can carry so much weight in building relationships. I've noticed that in some cultures, using please frequently can even imply a greater level of formality.
Absolutely. It's not just about the words themselves, but how they're used within a specific cultural context.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that language is always more than just a literal translation.
Speaking of navigating social situations, our next category is shopping words.
Okay.
This one is all about mastering those marketplace interactions.
And it's about more than just getting the best price.
Oh, right.
Think about words like cheap versus inexpensive.
Okay.
Cheap might save you money, but it can also imply lower quality.
Yeah.
Inexpensive suggests you're getting good value without sacrificing quality.
That's a subtle but important distinction.
Right.
The words we choose can really shape a buyer's perception, can't they?
They absolutely can.
Yeah.
Language has a powerful influence on how we view products and services.
Okay, let's move on from the marketplace to something a little more appetizing. Food and restaurants. I'm always curious about how language plays a role in our culinary experiences.
This section is all about communicating your needs clearly,
Yeah.
which is crucial when trying new cuisines or dealing with dietary restrictions. Words like vegetarian and spicy are essential for navigating menus and ensuring a pleasant dining experience.
Yeah, it's funny because spicy can be so subjective.
Oh, yeah,
What's mild for one person might be fiery for another.
definitely.
I once had a friend who ordered a dish labeled mildly spicy
Uh-huh.
and ended up sweating and gasping for water.
Oh, I can relate.
Yeah.
I think there's a whole deep dive we could do just on the cultural variations of what constitutes spicy, but for now, let's stick to the essential words.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
We don't want to get too sidetracked.
Now,
Speaking of navigating new experiences, let's move on to travel and directions.
okay.
I have a feeling you might have some insights on this one.
Oh, this section really highlights the importance of prepositions. Words like near, far, straight, turn. They're the backbone of giving and understanding directions. Mastering these can make you a much more confident traveler.
Absolutely. I think we've all had those moments of being hopelessly lost because we misinterpreted a simple direction. Once I was in a small town in Italy and someone told me to go straight.
Uh-huh.
Well, straight apparently meant following a winding path up a hill.
Oh, no.
Not exactly what I had in mind.
I can imagine.
I think it highlights the importance of not just knowing the words,
Yeah.
but understanding how they're used in context. What's straight in one place might be a winding path in another.
Absolutely. Context is everything.
Yeah, that's a great reminder to be flexible and open to different interpretations when traveling.
Yeah.
All right, let's shift gears from physical journeys
Okay.
to the everyday journeys we all take. Our next category is daily activities.
This section is packed with verbs reflecting how much of our lives we express through simple present tense actions: wake up, sleep, work, study. It's almost like a linguistic snapshot of our routines.
It's fascinating how even the most mundane activities become part of the fabric of our conversations.
Yeah,
It's these small everyday verbs that really connect us, isn't it?
absolutely. Language reflects the common ground of human experience,
Yeah.
even in its simplest forms.
Okay, ready to explore something a little more subjective.
All right, let's do it.
Let's wrap up part one with feelings and descriptions. I'm curious to see how these words translate across cultures.
This section is interesting because it delves into those intangible subjective experiences. Words like happy, sad, angry, excited. While these emotions are universal, the way we express and perceive them can be incredibly diverse.
For example, in some cultures, expressing anger openly is considered inappropriate, while in others, it's seen as a healthy way to communicate. It makes you wonder if there are any truly universal happy or sad words, or if they're all shaped by our cultural backgrounds.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It speaks to the intricate connection between language, culture, and emotion.
All right, let's take a pause here and reflect on what we've uncovered so far. From greetings and shopping to travel and emotions, we've seen how even simple words can carry a surprising amount of depth and nuance.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
Wow.
There's so much more to explore in the world of these seemingly basic, yet incredibly powerful, essential words.
Wow, I'm excited to keep going.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how much we kind of take these simple words for granted.
Right.
We use them every day without realizing the subtle ways they can shape our understanding.
It's like they're the secret ingredient that makes communication work.
Right.
But how can we take this awareness and actually use it to improve our conversations?
Yeah.
I mean, knowing a word and using it confidently are two different things, right?
Absolutely. It's like having a toolbox full of amazing tools but not knowing how to use them. That's where practice comes in.
Okay.
A simple exercise, pick 3 words from this list that you don't normally use.
Okay, I like that. 3 words.
Make it a challenge.
Make it a challenge.
Exactly. Try to weave them into your conversations this week. See how they fit, how people react. It's like a little linguistic experiment.
And I bet you start noticing those words more when others use them too.
Yeah.
It's like when you learn a new word, you suddenly see it everywhere.
That's your brain making connections.
Yeah.
Another tip, don't just memorize the words in isolation. Create your own sentences, even if they're silly.
So instead of just discount, I could say, I tried to get a discount on a talking parrot, but the shopkeeper wasn't having it.
Perfect. The more ridiculous, the more memorable, right?
Yeah.
But beyond personal practice, what about that feeling of being surrounded by English? How important is that?
You mean like immersion? I've heard that's crucial, but it can be tough to create that environment if you're not living in an English-speaking country.
True, but there are ways. Movies, TV shows, even music, they all count. And don't just passively watch, try to pick out those essential words, see how they're used in different contexts.
It's like tuning your entertainment into a language lesson.
Exactly.
But let's be honest, it's easy to get stuck in our own bubble. How important is getting feedback from others, especially native speakers?
Feedback is gold. It's like having a personal coach pointing out your blind spots. Don't be shy about asking for corrections or suggestions. Find a language partner, a tutor, or even just a friend who's willing to help.
Because let's face it, making mistakes is part of the learning process. It can be frustrating, but it's how we grow.
Couldn't agree more. It's about celebrating those aha moments, not getting hung up on perfection.
So we've covered a lot of practical tips, practice immersion feedback, but learning a language can be an emotional roller coaster too. Any advice on staying motivated when it feels overwhelming?
Motivation is key. Remember why you started learning English in the first place. What are your goals? Focus on those and celebrate every step you take towards them, no matter how small.
It's like giving yourself a high five for every step forward, no matter how small.
Exactly.
And it's about finding joy in the process, right? Not turning it into a chore.
Absolutely. If you're not enjoying it, you're less likely to stick with it.
Find ways to make learning fun, whether it's through games, music, or connecting with other learners.
So we've talked about mastering these essential words, but how does it all fit into the bigger picture of communication? What's the long-term payoff?
Think of it this way. These 100 words are like the foundation of a house. Once you have that strong base, you can build upon it with more complex vocabulary and grammar.
So it's about creating a framework
Right.
for expressing yourself clearly and confidently no matter the situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as your language skills grow, so does your ability to connect with people from different cultures, explore new ideas, and navigate a world that's increasingly interconnected.
It's like unlocking a whole new level
Yeah.
of understanding and engagement with the world around us. Pretty amazing for a set of seemingly simple words. It is, isn't it? They might be small, but they're the building blocks of something much bigger.
All right, let's take a moment to absorb all that we've discussed. We've talked about putting these words into practice, finding ways to stay motivated, and understanding how this journey impacts our overall communication. What's resonating with you most strongly right now?
I think what stands out to me is this idea that language learning isn't just about accumulating knowledge.
Okay.
It's about a deeper kind of self-discovery and cultural exploration. It's about realizing that the way we use language shapes our understanding of the world and ourselves.
That's a powerful thought.
Yeah,
It's not just about learning words. It's about expanding our perspectives and connecting with something larger than ourselves.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so exciting. Every new word, every conversation is an opportunity for growth and understanding.
So from these foundational words to the broader impact of language learning, we've covered a lot of ground. Now, I want to shift gears a bit. We've talked about communication in a general sense, but what about the art of storytelling? How do these essential words play a role in crafting compelling narratives?
That's an interesting angle. It's easy to overlook, but these simple words are the very building blocks of stories. We use them to describe characters, settings, actions, emotions, all the elements that bring a narrative to life.
It's like a writer's palette, mixing and matching these essential colors to create a vivid picture.
Yeah,
Even with a limited vocabulary, you can still tell a powerful story.
absolutely. Think of those classic fairy tales that have been passed down for generations.
Mhm.
They often rely on simple language, yet they convey profound messages that resonate across cultures.
Like Little Red Riding Hood, right? Wolf Wood's grandmother basket. Such
Yeah.
simple words,
Right.
but woven together, they create a tale that's both timeless and captivating.
Exactly. It demonstrates the power of storytelling to transcend language barriers and connect with us on a fundamental human level.
But storytelling isn't just about fairy tales, is it?
No.
It's something we do every day, whether we're sharing anecdotes with friends or presenting ideas at work.
You're right. Storytelling is woven into the fabric of our lives. It's how we make sense of the world, connect with others, and share our experiences.
And the words we choose, even these seemingly simple, essential words, have the power to shape those stories and influence how they're received.
Absolutely. The right word can evoke a specific emotion, create a vivid image, or draw your listener in.
So we've established that these essential words are crucial for storytelling. But I'm curious about the influence of culture on narrative. Do different cultures approach storytelling in distinct ways?
Culture plays a huge role in how stories are told and interpreted. Every culture has its own unique traditions, values, and beliefs, and these are reflected in their storytelling styles.
So it's not just about the words themselves, but the cultural context surrounding those words.
Precisely. What might be considered a humorous anecdote in one culture could be perceived as offensive or inappropriate in another.
It highlights the importance of cultural sensitivity and understanding, especially when engaging with stories from different parts of the world.
Absolutely. It's about respecting those differences and appreciating the diversity of human expression.
Okay, so we've talked about the essential words of storytelling and the influence of culture, but what about the role of personal experience?
Yeah.
How do our individual journeys shape the stories we tell?
Our personal experiences are the raw materials of our stories. They provide the emotions, the insights, the unique perspectives that make our narrative authentic and relatable.
It's like each of us carries a library of stories within us waiting to be shared.
Right.
And as we learn and grow, those stories evolve and take on new meaning.
Exactly. Our stories are constantly being shaped and reshaped by our interactions with the world.
So from fairy tales to personal anecdotes, we've seen how these essential words form the foundation of storytelling. But what about the role of imagination? How does our creative faculty enhance and enrich our narratives?
Imagination is the spark that ignites our stories. It allows us to transcend the boundaries of reality and create worlds and characters that exist only in our minds.
It's like having a superpower. We can use words to conjure up entire universes and invite others to explore them with us.
And the more we cultivate our imaginations, the more vibrant and compelling our stories become.
Okay, so we've explored the role of essential words in storytelling, examining the influence of culture, personal experience, and imagination. But how does engaging with stories, whether reading them or creating them, impact our understanding of the world and ourselves?
Storytelling is a powerful tool for fostering empathy and understanding. When we step into the shoes of characters and experience the world through their eyes, we develop a deeper appreciation for different perspectives.
It's like a bridge that connects us to the hearts and minds of others, even those who might seem very different from ourselves.
Exactly. Through stories, we can explore complex themes, challenge our assumptions, and expand our capacity for compassion.
Now that's a powerful takeaway. As we wrap up this segment of our deep dive, what final thoughts would you like to share about the profound connection between essential words and the art of storytelling?
Remember, storytelling is a fundamental human impulse. It's how we connect, share knowledge, and make sense of the world around us. Even with a limited vocabulary, you can weave compelling narratives that resonate with others. Embrace the power of storytelling and let your voice be heard.
That's a beautiful message.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that we're all storytellers at heart, and that language, even in its simplest forms, is a powerful tool for connecting with others and sharing our experiences.
Precisely. And as we continue our journey of language learning, we're not just expanding our vocabulary, we're expanding our capacity for understanding empathy and connection.
Okay, we've explored the depths of these essential words, their role in communication, and their power in storytelling. Now I'm eager to shift our focus to something a bit more practical. Let's dive into some strategies for actually incorporating these words into our daily lives and making them a natural part of our conversations. Okay, so it feels like we've been on this incredible journey, right? From the nitty-gritty of individual words to the grand scope of storytelling and cultural exchange.
Yeah, it's fascinating how it all comes together.
Right.
We started with what seemed like basic vocabulary, and now we're talking about shaping our understanding of the world.
Exactly. It's like those 100 words were just the tip of the iceberg, and we've been diving deeper and deeper into this vast ocean of language. So where do we go from here? How do we actually put this knowledge into practice beyond the tips we've already discussed?
Well, one common challenge I think a lot of people face is feeling overwhelmed
Yeah,
by the sheer number of words out there.
right.
My advice, don't try to learn everything at once. Start small. Maybe focus on a few words from each category each day.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like building a mosaic, one tiny piece at a time.
Yeah.
Eventually you step back and there's this beautiful, complex picture.
That's a great analogy.
And don't underestimate the power of repetition. Use those new words in different contexts. Write them down, say them out loud. The more you engage with them, the more they'll stick.
Repetition is key.
Yeah, it's like creating a groove in your brain for each word,
Yep.
making it easier to recall when you need it. But what about making sure those words aren't just floating around in isolation?
Right.
How do we really grasp their meaning?
Context is key. Instead of memorizing dictionary definitions, try learning new words within phrases and sentences. See how they function in real-life situations.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like learning a dance move.
Uh-huh.
You don't just practice the step in isolation, you incorporate it into the flow of the entire routine.
Exactly. And speaking of flow, the more you can actively use English, the better.
Right.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how we learn. Find opportunities to speak. Right. Even think in English.
So turn off the subtitles on your favorite show. Maybe try journaling in English, even if it's just a few sentences at first. Challenge yourself. But of course, it helps to have guidance along the way, right?
Absolutely. Feedback is crucial. Find a language partner, a tutor, or even just a friend who can offer corrections and suggestions. It's like having an extra set of eyes and ears to help you fine-tune your skills.
Because let's face it, sometimes we get so caught up in our own heads that we don't see the areas where we need to improve. But even with all the tips and strategies, language learning can be tough, especially when you hit those inevitable plateaus. How do we stay motivated?
You know, motivation is key. Remember why you started learning English in the first place. What are your goals? Focus on those and celebrate every step you take towards them, no matter how small.
Yeah, because it's easy to get discouraged, right? Especially when you compare yourself to others who seem to be progressing faster.
Comparison is the thief of joy, as they say. Focus on your own progress and find ways to make the learning process enjoyable for yourself.
So find those methods that resonate with you, whether it's watching movies, listening to music, or connecting with other learners online. Make it fun, and you're more likely to stick with it. And it's all worth it in the end, right?
Yeah.
What's the ultimate payoff of dedicating ourselves to mastering English?
Well, on a practical level, English fluency opens doors to a wider world travel career, opportunities, access to information and resources. But beyond that, it's about expanding your horizons, connecting with people from different cultures, and developing a deeper understanding of the world around you.
It's like you're not just learning a language, you're learning how to see the world through new eyes.
Precisely.
Okay.
And that's a gift that keeps on giving.
So we've covered a lot of ground today, from those initial 100 words to strategies for achieving fluency and understanding the transformative power of language. As we wrap up this episode, what's your final takeaway for our listeners?
Remember that language learning is a journey, not a destination. It's about embracing the challenges, celebrating the victories, and never losing sight of the joy of discovery.
Beautifully said. And even though our deep dive is ending, I hope this sparks a lifelong passion for exploring the wonders of the English language.
It's been a pleasure diving into this with you.
The pleasure was all mine. To everyone listening, thank you for joining us and happy learning.